Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar&Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam, and we're back with another episode of the Progressive World. So, as usual, I'm going to start with a quick rundown of the show so you can skip to any segment that you find interesting. So, right after we do the introduction, we've been chit-chatting in these last few episodes in case you want to listen to that part specifically. But then we'll move on to kind of Progressive World US. And under that, there'll be a few stories. So Bad Fate, Brianna did an interview with Marianne Williamson. We'll talk about that. There's that clip that's been going around with Nina Turner eviscerating, as the headlines read, Manchin staffer on CNN, who just looks ridiculous. Then we're going to just talk a bit about Kyrsten Sinema. I mean, I know that everybody knows about her past, but I mean, I was just reading one or two CNN articles, and it is just a bit staggering at the complete 180 shift that she's done. So we'll read a little bit from CNN article and her Wikipedia page. Then after that, we're going to talk about Eric Adams. So he's the mayor of New York right now, if I'm not mistaken, right, Sam? And he could possibly become a big personality in the Democratic Party going forward. So that's kind of our first story. Then we're going to move on to a few articles under progressive press segment, and pretty much some funny articles from The Guardian. One Canadian professor thinks that the US could become a dictatorship by 2030. We'll talk about that. And this other op-ed in, I think it was written in the Wall Street Journal, with the headline, "This presidency isn't turning out as planned." And this
I think
person...
it's New York Times.
Oh, is it New York Times? Okay.
I think, wait, Ezra Klein.
And the person talks about supply and demand and all this, a lot of confusing stuff. So we'll have some fun with that. Then we're going to move on to progressive geopolitics, just some news about Syria, Iran, Ukraine, the UK. So we'll just go through them quickly. Then we're going to move on to our quick hitters. So under quick hitters, Sam might talk a little bit about bro culture on the left, if he can put all his thoughts and ideas together. So that might be a segment, but
that's more, I feel like, because the theme of our episode is impotence. That's like the conclusion of the theme.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That was a bit, I wasn't sure if I should say it, but okay, you clarified it nicely. Yeah. Then there's Australia's deportation of Novak Djokovic, which really seems like, I mean, clearly based on their statements, it's political and nothing to do with public health or even an interpretation of science or anything, which I found to be quite shocking, to be honest. Then there are two series, or one of them is a series and the other one is a movie coming out about Elizabeth Holmes. And I'm going to discuss with Sam who I think is the best person to play Elizabeth Holmes. Then The Rising did a few stories that involve Joe Rogan, and kind of they shared a clip in there, and the way the mainstream media refers to Joe Rogan nowadays is just truly disgusting, I find. But then Kim Iverson discussed the Great Reset, so I want to comment on that a little bit. And then we're going to do a pick of the week, which will include the greatest and the worst, the great and the worst of this week. Am I putting
the best and the worst? I guess
the best and the worst. The best and the worst.
We should have agreed upon the name before starting this episode.
That's good.
The good and the bad. I don't know, but all right. I just remembered something else. But yeah, pick. I think we're gonna do like useful idiots style. We're gonna do role reversal each week. So one of us picks the best of the week, one of us picks up the worst of the week, and then we switch.
Exactly. Okay, we had agreed on that, so that's good. And then we'll do a question of the week. So last time a question of the week was what's our most conservative point of view, and this time will be what's our most progressive point of view. And then we'll wrap up with some progressive tweets as per usual. So, all right, Sam, I think that's it. So let's get this party started.
So how was your week? It's the most difficult part of our podcast, just the chit chat. How are you?
This week is good. I was thinking of I was just thinking what I did that was kind of special this week or interesting to mention. So there are two things. I'll start with the food one. One is that in
Oh,
Switzerland they have two types of meals that are like their Swiss dishes, I would call. One is called fondue. It's like this
yeah.
big bowl of
That's the
cheese like
only one.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
where you put bread in it. And then there's this other one called raclette, which is pretty much just a boiled potato and you put cheese on it.
All right.
It's like wartime food, I feel, but people go crazy
It
over
does.
it.
Does feel like it's such a wide variety of taste and flavors.
With
Cheese and potato. Okay.
a cabbage
But to
soup
be
on the
fair,
side. No, I'm joking.
sounds amazing though. I love mashed potatoes. I love anything baked potato. Is it baked potato and then
Yeah,
you pour
it's
cheese
a baked potato
and
and then
pour warm
hot
cheese?
cheese. Yeah, so you warm up the cheese in
Nice.
this little tray and you put the tray on the
That
dining
sounds
table.
pretty awesome with some
Yeah.
ketchup and mayo.
Yeah, or you
I mean,
can put
I'm
some
going full
spices
British.
or veggies on it. And basically, I've been vegan for like 9 or 10 years. So I haven't really had it before, but now they make vegan cheese specifically for raclette. And they make them pretty good now because they've been making them for like, even initially when I went vegan, they had it, but they were horrible. But now they make them out of cashews and nuts and, at least they're decent
That
and they're salty and they're edible. So I had some fun having that
they're
for
edible. That sounds
this
like a
weekend.
really vote of confidence. They're edible, I think.
No,
That's
honestly, it's
funny
pretty
though.
decent.
I was gonna mention is that yesterday when I was buying food and stuff, I saw for the first time I saw like Iranian style vegan cheese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like yeah,
Like,
vegan cheese, like very much marketing wise focused on the veganness and all that. And I was like, oh, it's everywhere now. We are all living in San Francisco now, so it was
and
quite interesting.
by Iranian cheese, you mean the one that kind of like
It's
you
like
spread it
white
on water,
feta.
yeah, on water, on bread, the one that you eat that
Yeah,
way. Yeah, it's kind of
you
like
can spread it on
feta.
water. Yeah, yeah,
Just has more
it's yeah,
taste to it and more saltiness, and the consistency is a bit different, I would say. A bit,
yeah,
but that's a
it's
good way of
less
describing it.
watery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, veganism is growing, man. It seems you guys are. And by the way, I'm seriously considering becoming a vegetarian. It's just that I need to find good alternatives to meat. It's hard,
Yeah.
man.
And are you
It's
into
hard.
beans and stuff? Do you like that?
Yeah. But I have a stomach problem.
Oh,
Let's
really?
say certain stomach problems come up after beans and barley. I love barley. Like
Yeah.
I can eat barley forever. But yeah, meat is I can digest meat the best, which is
Really?
odd. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what did you have
Yeah.
the vegan cheese one and it was relatively okay?
Yeah, no, pretty good if you ask me. And then, there were some pickles on the side and I love pickles. So that's always good. And yeah, some other
That's
few veggies next to it.
is it like was it like vegan cheddar cheese or is it just vegan cheese or vegan
It kind of
Gouda cheese?
it kind of comes as close to kind of cheddar-ish, kind of like a sliced kind of cheese. Yeah, kind
All
of
right,
like sliced cheese between cheddar, but one
processed.
that's a bit less yellow. I mean, this one is specifically made for the raclette machine, so they make it a bit thicker because the whole process is kind of fun. You put it on a little tray. So imagine there's like this thing in the middle of the table that you put a little heater on, and each get a little tray like this, just big enough for a little slice of cheese. And you put it under there, and when the cheese melts, you bring it out and you put it on your potatoes, which are on your plate, and then you eat it. And then you go fight the Russians.
I believe the Swiss haven't fought anybody for a very long time. The last time the Swiss fought anyone was like 17th century. I don't know why you picked the Russians.
Because they eat potatoes.
It sounds like a bit Eurocentric. Fight the Russians. But yeah. All right. It seems
But,
like
yeah.
a lot of. I always found fondue and all the other Swiss dishes, because there is such a great
There are
number of
two.
them. Yeah, it is. I find too many weird like equipments and all that involved. Like you need a spoon. A spoon usually can get most of the things done. I don't
Oh,
understand
you're
it.
right
Like,
though, because fondue also has its own special fork. But I
yeah,
kind of
yeah. It's
understand
like
it though. You need a fork that really holds onto your bread, because that cheese, it looks like, can, suck you up. And,
heavy. Yeah, that's true. You need a
can get
strong
lost in
fork.
there. But to be honest, I don't
But
love
with
fondue
a
too much.
spoon, but with a
I,
spoon, you can just go and put it in there like a soup. And
but you don't, but no, the cheese, you won't be able to eat it like that, I think, because it's really hot. So you grab the bread that is like room temperature, because
I
because
see
there's
your
fire
balance.
under the cheese, typically.
All right, good point. Good point.
But
Yeah, it's melting. So.
fondue, I mean, I tried it once or twice, even when I was vegan, not the whole thing, but just to see what it's about. I don't love it too much because they cook it with white wine, so it has this other added taste to it. So I don't know if you recall that from when you had it.
I was very young when I had it. It felt like a snack, to be honest.
Yeah.
I remember when I found out that was like the dinner. I was what?
No, but
what do you mean?
I'm guessing people also have some ham on the side and things. I mean, people do have some, sliced meat, dried meat next to it. That's like the rest of the Swiss cuisine,
it's more mazze, as they say in Arab countries, than food.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a dish.
Man, there's this Instagram lady. She's pretty funny. She's from Vietnam and she moved to Germany and she lives with a German boyfriend. And she was making this one Instagram like showing like how easy it is to have a German husband, because like every single meal they just have like brown bread with like some butter and some cheese. and that's it, right? And then like a sausage at night or like at lunch, and like it revolves around this. And then she was like contrasting that with like in Vietnam people are chopping 50 different vegetables like crazy, turning a cow into tofu, turning it back into something else, putting it in there.
We need 6 different herbs from 6 different regions of the land. Hunt them now. Yeah, that's
exactly
true, yeah.
So you are right. In Iran that would be considered a
that's a joke.
snack.
No, it's just Northern European cuisine is just so bland and just like we added cheese to potatoes. What? That's a starter, maybe.
But there's also wine, so that fixes everything.
Just
drink the wine and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the alcohol just covers. Just have the mead, ale, whatever. Just shut the fuck up. Shut up about the cheese. Have some potato. Well, I must say I love plain food though. I'm not actually that. I don't like a spicy food. My favorite food is like mashed potato with like salt. Like salt is my favorite spice.
It's a good one though. It's a good one.
Too spicy, guys. I think you added a bit of salt.
But wait, but you don't like spicy food? I didn't know that.
No, I don't like.
I love spicy food. I put crazy spiciness on everything.
I hate jalapenos. I hate hot sauces, and it's really weird because everybody in my family and stuff, they love it. But no, I like mayonnaise, and I have a very waspy taste. I like water, and I like warm beer. It's really weird. I love what's this called? We had it a couple of nights ago. Warm wine, mulled wine.
Yeah, so really? Good. No way.
So I love that shit. I love it when it's with cinnamon and orange slice. Yeah, I'm in personality wise, I'm 95 years old. I'm from like pre-World War One. It's weird. No,
village between Austria and Germany.
There is a tiny village. Yeah, something went wrong in the reincarnation process, I believe. But nobody knows for sure. So in reality, though, I'm making fun of like Northern European cuisine, but I love it. Like shepherd's pie was one of my favorite foods. It was, or Cornish pasty, man. Cornish pastry.
Cornish, what's that? Cornish pastry?
It's like one of those meat pies, but it's
okay.
like it's kind of like a calzone, but much more delicious.
I would really like a vegan version of it, like as a small snack for sure.
Oh man, basically pies and pasties are my favorite.
Looking at it right now.
Oh, man, I could eat. Oh, yeah. But again, like you need 3 to count as a real meal. Just one is. Yeah, you know. But that's interesting. So you had a good food.
Anything for you to mention? I already told you about this show that I can tell you about, but I don't know if you had.
Oh yeah, the one with you said Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
What was the name? I need to actually.
The Shrink Next Door.
Was it comedy or drama?
Oh, like
mix
comedy drama. Comedy drama. So I mean the story.
Okay, sounds good.
So it's like 8 episodes, I think. I guess it's like a 1 season kind of thing. Apple TV. My wife was watched it all in one day. But I probably watched like 70-75% of it. It was really good, including the beginning and the end. And pretty much the story is that Will Ferrell, he's kind of this really like, weird and kind of like, he's not outgoing at all. He's very like weird kind of guy, but he has a decent amount of money. He inherited his dad's like factory, some kind of like tissue factory or something. So he has money and stuff, but he really struggles with his personality. So he goes and finds a shrink, and the shrink is Paul Rudd, and Paul Rudd kind of helps him a bit to become a better person, but he's like a full out con man. Oh, and apparently based on a true story. So, he just takes money from him, like moves to his house, makes it seem like it's his. So it kind of goes with our theme of, psychiatrist and things like that.
So I'm a fan of love of psychology. It's not a
psychiatrist, it's the other one. What's it called? He's another psychiatrist. Therapist? No, it's also psychologist, right? I think psychiatrists.
They're not doctors. They're not physicians.
Yeah, they're different, right?
Psychiatrists. Psychiatrist can prescribe you a pill. He's a real doctor.
Oh, really? That's the difference?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, psychiatrist is actually is a medical professional. Psychologist is somebody who has studied psychology, as in Freud and stuff. But usually most psychiatrists, I believe, are also psychologists too.
Might as well.
It's just 2 extra books. Come on. It's
While you're at
2 guys. You get that. But I mean, the psychiatrists, people who are big on, chemical, they really hate like Freudians and Jungians. And there are all these internal factional wars going on, which is great. But I need to check that TV show out. That sounds good.
No, I would recommend it. It was good stuff. But yeah, I can't think of anything else special I did this week.
All right.
Anything on your side?
Well, I feel very self-conscious actually today because I did this. I watched some of our because I had to do. By the way, we've set up our Substack and we're going to be more active there on Substack and Twitter and stuff. Not a lot more active, so just a little. But so I listened to our show a little bit, and I've become very self-conscious because I found that I laugh like a hyena with a throat cancer. It's just so bad. I sound like they're just chopping off wood with a with a chainsaw or something. So yeah, and my hair is just going crazy because of humidity. So it's been a pretty
your laugh is good. Your laugh is good. I have a big problem with our introduction video because every time I open our YouTube thing, it starts immediately and I hear my voice and I'm like, hello. So I try to deactivate it for like people who already subscribed, but it still shows it to me. It's really getting on my nerve. Honestly, I was thinking of taking it off. I was like,
We need
Jesus.
to redo that at some point.
Yeah, maybe
when
the
we
new
have
one.
like other programs.
But I mean, I still sound the same, so I don't think it'll
Maybe just leave a 5-second silence just so
Yeah.
you can click away. That's yeah. I'm putting my computer on mute when I'm doing like any uploading or
Yeah.
editing now.
Well, I
So,
have to
yeah,
listen
that's
to our whole podcast when I'm editing. So
oh yeah,
I
that's
already
yeah.
go
I
through
can't
that.
believe doing that, man. That's torture. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That I can.
Not good.
This is great advertisement for our program. Watching us is torture.
But then I see other people in this space too, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
make myself feel a bit better about it.
No. I mean, we are not good, but
Yeah.
everybody else is terrible. So, relatively speaking,
Well, we should
yeah.
talk to some. Should we start and
Yeah,
talk
let's.
about
I
someone who's
think.
actually pretty good, though? I would say.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, somebody who actually
Brianna.
gets some things done. Yeah.
Yeah, and her her shows they get going and it's pretty good. Although sometimes I don't know why I'm starting with this criticism of Brianna shows. I'm sure you can make it for ours too. But sometimes I read like what the title says, what this video is about. But then when I'm listening to the video, I'm not too sure like what it's about or what is the main argument. But so I go back to the headline. I look, it's like when you're doing like some kind of school assignment and you're writing, you're like, okay, wait, what was it about? What was I supposed to do? So you read again what the assignment's about. Like, okay, oh yeah, true. Okay, never mind.
That actually has happened to me quite a few times on our show where I start talking and then I just go, oh, wait, what? But I think that's more on the guest though, because it doesn't happen usually, I think, in most of her shows, but depending on the guest, it could happen.
But
and
like
I think
this one, for instance, sorry. So this one is called Challenging Biden from the Left.
Yeah.
So this was the name, right? On challenge. So I mean, they do talk about that, but it was about. I mean, it was fun to listen. Can you summarize? Yeah, what the discussion, what Marianne Williamson was about?
Before jumping into the discussion, I want to address the real issue of the video, which was, in my view, was why were they sitting like that? That was the weirdest sitting arrangement I had ever seen in an interview. They were next to each other, but yet in a conflicting angle. And then whenever Marianne Williamson would bring her hand up, it would just almost be in the Brianna's face. And whenever Brianna would, it was the weirdest angle. And COVID is still around, guys. So I don't know, like distance. So it was so weird. I was so distracted by the whole sitting arrangement. It was apparently at Marianne Williamson's house or place, I think. So I don't know if it was this. I don't know what was going on, but I think it was her really studio weird.
Or something, because we actually got quite a bit of inside information from this video. Apparently, they're neighbors. And did you hear that part? And Marianne Williamson made that hilarious joke. She's like,
sound like a stalker.
She's like, first we talk about boys, then we talk about politics when we meet. And then like she laughed and then Rihanna moved on. Did you pick up on that part?
I didn't, but now that you said it, it made sense to me what happened there. Okay.
Yeah, so I think they're very close.
Nice. No, but it was a very good interview. It was largely, I don't know what it was about, man. To be honest, I really find it difficult. I zone out when people start talking about spirituality and atonement and that type of thing. But I think they were saying that we should push Biden. In the end, it got a bit more concrete, but I really didn't understand it. I think they were saying that we should try to push Biden to the left, but at the same time, there should be a path for people to be forgiven. And it's good to be spiritually awake and left. I don't know. I was having flashbacks to my childhood and going to these astrology gatherings with my mom. So, and I love it. It's fantastic and it's interesting, but I don't really understand it. And it seemed like they are very nice people, but I don't know. Did you really understand, besides what I said about pushing Biden left and actually also having a pathway for people to come back. I really didn't. I don't know. All of the rest was a spirituality and all that.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on the thing of the pathway and coming back. Okay, so she posted a certain segment. Yeah, I got the atonement stuff. So she posted a segment of the video, right? It's not the full thing. So from where from when it starts, in the beginning, she gives actually some like very basic facts and like some really good one, and like presents them very well about the situation in the US, this many percent in poverty, this for university, this for healthcare. So there was that, but then then it of course got mixed with her spirituality and I guess her background and where she, what she does before and all this, and she
was in personal transformation industry. What is that? Do you know? Is that the same as like the people who do become personal coaches and stuff and like achieve?
I don't know, some kind of spirituality background. I mean, she said this one thing that was like, extremely spiritual. She's like, for me, all I want to do is to share what I believe is deeply true, and that's all I want to do.
Yeah. When she mentioned persuasion, Brianna was actually being very like, what do you say, sober-headed, whatever, and saying that you could argue persuasion, any form of persuasion is a type of manipulation. And she said, no, it's about sharing the truth. And it's very lovely and stuff. I don't want to be too critical, but at the same time, it's nice for you, but it's not something you can, build coalitions on, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, and these are, I guess these have to do with my mood and stuff, and they change. And I mean, the Democrats having a president who's Democrat really does not seem to be even the lesser of two evils. It's pretty much the same. It makes no difference. So who cares? But I feel like nowadays that it really is a feeling, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Republicans get the presidency for at least like 3 terms or something now. I mean, you mix with Kamala Harris being like as bad as you can possibly get. Biden, I mean, now that you think about it, what is Biden going to be like in 3 years? Then they want to instead like shoe in like Hillary Clinton or someone like that. So Trump could easily win, and then another Republican could easily win after that, or could he do another term? Could he do a third term? I don't think so. He'll be quite old. But anyway, there's a good chance that it's going to be like fully Republican dominated, the House, the Senate. I mean, they change all the time. In 2 years, they seem to change. But
I said Biden is kind of like Carter. After Carter, you did have 3 terms of Republicans, twice Reagan, once George Bush the father. But to be honest, I feel like people like about Kamala, actually, for example, people have such short-term memories and stuff that who knows, man, in 2 years, so many, like the last 2 years has felt like 150 years to me. Like so many shit happens now, and the news cycle is just ridiculous now.
No, for sure.
So people are like, Kamala Harris is over. You don't know, like it's 2 years from now till the next election. So who knows? I think it's way too soon. But on Marianne Williamson, this video though gave me a great idea. I do think there is a way for the left to push Biden to left for like maybe next time or something. Like if Marianne Williamson just focuses on primarying Biden in Democratic primary in California, I think there is a good, like California is filled with hippies and, San Francisco yoga teachers, all of them are in a spirituality and getting interconnected with the nature and Avatar and having sex with trees. I don't know, whatever they do. So, you could really damage him there.
Man, I don't know. I'm just so pessimistic right now because listen, she named her previous video of that of this one with Chris Hedges and Shama Sawant. She named it "Should the Left Primary Joe Biden?" Right, and then this one was called Marianne Williamson challenging Biden from the left. And of course, sure, of course, 100 million% that from the left people should primary him. But I'm more interested in what has changed in like the infrastructure or the way for this to be possible, for her to not just get crushed by the media and not get any 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 media time, her not being
Oh,
able to make
look,
any of the debates properly, that it just turns out to be like a big nothing, even if they strategize in the way that you are
I think
suggesting.
I think my California idea is, to be honest, great
It's not a
because
bad one, but
yeah, it's because it's got a lot of electoral college and all that, so you focus on, I don't know.
but why would
You
Biden care
focus on
about
it.
that? I mean, they're gonna win Democrat anyway. They'll just like block her
No,
out,
just say
and now it.
no, but if she runs as a third party candidate for just focuses all her campaigning again, I think this strategy, as you say, is hopeless. But it's it's something you could do. It could be fun.
I don't know.
Could lead to a more national state. I mean, it's better than doing nothing. No,
It's better. I'll tell you what to me sounds like. And again, I don't do jack shit. I'm not even American. So,
yeah, same
so
here.
putting that
Yeah,
out there. But the
yeah.
US not only impacts people in that country, which I care for people equally, whether I live in their country or I don't. And secondly, impacts everything around the world. So having said that, I found what Chris Hedges was saying and what Shama Sound was saying, which is like, have to start from scratch. And yeah, forget you can primary Joe Biden, whatever you want from now, but unless that at least there's like a movement around certain issues at the national level, that starts well beyond the election. So even this
Well,
one is too
I
late.
don't.
That's the only one that sounds like, sure, that sounds very hard and not be possible. That's the only one that sounds realistic to me, because primarying it, Bernie Sanders, I believe, probably did the best humanly possible in the US context of doing it that way. And that one
Not
unfortunately didn't amount at the end
no.
too much.
Okay,
But
yeah, I said no, but if he ran as a third party candidate, I think it would have been a very different story. And I would say, I mean, I was a bit joking about the whole California. I was just trying to do a joke about the fact that California is basically filled with spiritual hippies. But look, I do think if we can't even organize, like, first, I think we discussed this in the last episode. I think the reason we can't get shit done on the left is because there is no leadership, not because there is no movement on the ground. So I think the movement on the ground will follow the leadership. There
yeah,
should be
so where is
people
this
like Marion.
leadership?
So if Marion Williamson, for example, decides to run as a third party candidate, by the way, I didn't understand in the video, is she part of Andrew Yang's party or something? Because she talked about that too. I didn't understand why she was talking about it.
Yeah, and there's in the headline of
So
the
yeah.
video, they also mentioned that. But yeah, I didn't quite get that too. And I think both of them said that they're not too familiar with what he's doing right now. Or did Brianna say that?
I think Brianna said that. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, like, if like there needs to be leaders that bring, like, because right now there is all these people at the national level, at the not national level, sorry, at the city level, at the state level. So I think somebody should bring them together. It's the problem of I think
I mean, I
the
call that a
problem should be
movement
solved.
too. When I speak about movement, I'm also referring to something like
All right,
that,
so no, I'm saying, like, I thought you mean at a very local level. I think there needs to be somebody at a national level, or at the minimum a state level, coming out, if not global level, that would be nice.
Who needs to be extremely talented and like extremely popular in some way to break through the mainstream media as well. One way or
Yeah,
another.
or has
For some
already
reason,
has,
they can't
basically,
ignore him. Yeah, or he already has.
like Trump.
Like, how much would it take for him to just switch sides?
I promise you, no, less than you think.
Yeah.
Like, it's $100. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Kyrsten Sinema. Yeah, I was just looking at her numbers, and like she's like she made like the third highest amount of, like, she received like third highest amount of corporate money, and she received something like 3 million, I believe, last year, something. Maybe I had the
That's
figures
not
in the
really.
article.
That's more about her campaigning, so
Okay.
she wins and shit. But the real, like, they make the real money after they leave the Senate or the Congress, and they go into lobbying or into some advisory role or some bullshit lecture.
But I'm
that's
saying
where you make the real money.
paying off politicians right now shouldn't be that hard.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you can't make them too many promises for the future.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to get some really corrupt we need to buy up some politicians. That's the strategy. But it was a very great video though, but it was hell of a confusing one.
Yeah. I think the one before that was really good. The one where with Chris Hedges and
that one was
Shama
like,
Sawan. That one, I understood fully what they were talking about and what the idea was. Now, whether you agree with it or not, that's a different question.
That was like being at the meeting at the, I don't know, International or something, and Bolsheviks and Monsheviks or something, Mensheviks. So, it was interesting.
But yeah, well, the left has Nina Turner. No, I mean, progressives have Nina Turner.
Yeah.
Could she?
Shall we jump into that now?
Could she do anything?
Look,
she has access to CNN and stuff. Although I see exactly how they package her.
CNN.
So it's no problem.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, she's basically. I mean, the problem with the video that we are discussing, basically, for me, was that it was just so close to a campaign. And during her campaign, her rhetoric changed so much. Like she went suddenly from this like very like firebrand leftist to, I'm a very conciliatory person. What's wrong? What's going on, guys? Let's bring us everybody back. Come together. Why is everybody so angry? And then now suddenly she shifted back to this firebrand leftist. So I don't buy it. It was nice that she said those things. I mean, I agree with it, of course, but it was, I didn't.
No, I mean, she went all out in this video. And I mean, I didn't watch her that much during her campaign and stuff. So that wasn't really the tone that she had.
Well, she was very nice to the squad and all that. And, you said the video on the bad faith, I think, with, again, I forget her name.
Shama Sawan.
Yeah, she mentions that she didn't really differentiate herself from the squad and all that.
You're right. She made some good criticisms there, and she didn't differentiate herself from her opposition in like a very clear-cut way, being like, yes, I know that we're both black, but she wants X, Y, and Z.
But there are further differences. It's guys, color of Jesus Christ. There are other, differences between us.
Yeah.
No, but so I didn't buy that. But the video was really strange. What was Joe Manchin's? Was he Joe Manchin's like advisor or something, right?
He was like a media advisor.
He was like dressed like a low-rent Indiana Jones. Like, what are you, archaeologist discovering like ancient Egyptian artifacts? What? Yeah. And he was dressed like that, and he was like this. His face was like that. Eyes.
I swear, he must have put so much thought into pulling off that shit. I bet you.
I promise you, that jacket is not an accident. It's a weird sort of semi. I mean, look, I wear a tie. I dress up for this, but I don't like. This was the weirdest. Like, I just came back from the site, fighting off some, snakes or something.
I mean, he was smart. He was probably thinking, okay, Nina Turner is gonna come and be all passionate and emotional, but me, I'm gonna look like this. I was just in the field collecting data of people. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you the plain truth. I just want to tell you guys what people are thinking and what they want to hear. Look at me. I don't even care. I could care that. Yeah, I'm just doing scientist. It for you. Yeah,
I'm just the archaeologist going through the.
Just Joe Manchin's archaeologist.
Just trying. He hired me for that. I don't know why.
No, but you're right. Even like the way, I mean, he's a media expert, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So he must know how a camera works.
Yeah, I don't know why he was like, he looked like Oliver Twist. like the angle and all that. I don't know. It was, Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting video on CNN though, because the CNN host was actually taking Nina Turner's side more,
Yeah.
which was surprising for CNN.
Yeah. I mean, because Nina Turner was also, yeah, I mean, the way she was speaking, I don't remember her words exactly,
She
but
was righteous out.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So they
yeah.
don't have a problem with that, every now and then they have that. It goes with it. And CNN is like, it's serving the kind of Democrats, globalist, as they like to call it, that kind of viewer. So
airport audience, airport audience all over the globe. Oh, what should you put on CNN?
Man, that says so much. That says so much about the content of
That's what it
CNN
is.
that you can just have it as like background.
It is mainly background.
Yeah.
And most of it is these days, whenever I go to my uncle's house, who I don't know, for some reason is in love with CNN, it's just, it's mostly advertisement about Africa and like Middle East, and like it's an advertisement of Boeing airplanes, as if, I don't know who's watching CNN and going, I gotta get a Boeing for myself, It's just, I feel like buying a Boeing. Like, who are you advertising to?
I
like
guess through CNN, I guess, honestly, I think like through CNN, they target specifically like executives and stuff in different countries and politicians and things like that.
Yeah, it's mostly advertising. It's so much advertisement, man. It's ridiculous. It's just unbelievable. I'm talking CNN International now, obviously, not so much.
They're a bit different, but not too different. But yeah, CNN International loves it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Joe Manchin's archaeologist in the future, though. I just can't wait. It was great. Great. Yeah.
Should I switch to Kyrsten Sinema?
After watching that video on Katie Halper show, it looked like Kyrsten Sinema has gone through a mean girl transformation. Like she was this like normal looking, but like, just average person and all that. And she has like, now the hair is all done, and then the glasses are special, and the makeup is all crazy and all that. And she's now this hot chick that Mitt Romney is in love with. And it's just this weird, it's really weird. It's literally, it's like, basically it seems like Washington is the highest school in Mean Girls. And like, and Nancy Pelosi is the main evil character. So, and Mitt Romney is the boyfriend they all want to have.
No, exactly. I mean, like she's dressing.
That's how you should think about Washington.
She's dressing as like a very like hip, like not hip, but like a young kind of like globalist kind of Democrat-looking person. She's
going like for that pixie dream girl look, a bit hipstery.
Yeah, but mixing that with like her like current policies, which are really like right wing. So I guess she's trying to like contrast from that, being like, look, I'm a very like 21st century kind of like Democrat kind of person, but let's be very serious about what we're talking about right now. Like these left-wing policies are no good. I mean, I think she's like a bit, I mean, of course she dresses and everything like that consciously. Now, how she's trying to balance that off with her point of view and everything.
No, I wonder if you think it's a marketing ploy by her team, or it just happened organically as she became sort of more of a Washington creature. It feels to me an organic shift. I remember Ryan Grimm said in one of his reports that apparently she became really disappointed after many years of failure being on the quite a Green Party and involved with Ralph Nader and all that. So, I think in her case, that's why she's so good at it. It's organic because I think, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, maybe. So, I mean,
or who cares?
Let's talk a little bit about these transformations. So let me just read like a few sentences. And that's what I've been wondering. I mean, if it happened organically, kind of, I mean, organically in what sense? Did she realize that she's going to make more money and everything by leaving the Green Party?
She may actually believe the bullshit that,
you think so?
If we come together. I mean, actually, after seeing her recent speech in which I want to address the disease of the division.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, that was this. Yeah, so no, I take it back. She's doing it consciously, probably. Yeah, she's self-aware.
I mean,
She's a
look,
self-aware monster.
this article is so funny in
It
many
doesn't
ways.
matter really, but which one? The CNN one?
Yeah. So it's written in 2018, okay? The headline is Kyrsten Sinema's anti-war activist pass under scrutiny as she runs for Senate. So the first funny thing with the headline is that the good stuff that she did in the past is coming to bite her in the ass now. But of course, it didn't. But yeah, it starts, Democratic Representative Kyrsten Sinema past ties to far-left groups are resurfacing as she campaigns to win Arizona's Senate race against her Republican opponent. Sinema is running on her congressional record as a hawk on military spending and defense, proclaiming an ad she would do whatever it takes to keep America safe and boasting that she fought for billions for military spending. So just remember, just hear the stuff that she's saying now, and then I'm going to read what she said before. But the Democratic Congresswoman also has an extensive past as a progressive activist. Her events and associations in opposing the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and her early years as a Democratic lawmaker in Arizona frequently brought her into contact with the left-wing fringe.
Fringe,
yeah, exactly. Sinema, a former Green Party spokeswoman in Arizona, who at the age of 25 in 2001 and 2002 ran and lost races for local offices as an independent. She had moved to Arizona in 1995 and worked as a social worker. This part, I don't understand why it says she moved to Arizona in 1995. On her Wikipedia, it says she was born there. When George Bush was elected president...
Maybe she moved back.
Yeah. Sinema quickly began to make a name of herself in the state with left-wing activism. In the run-up to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, Sinema, then a law student at Arizona State University, was a frequent organizer of anti-war rallies, organizing 15 by the start of the Iraq War. So, very active, not just taking part. Sinema would later boast on a progressive message board in 2006 of her opposition to Afghanistan from the start and continued opposition, saying she opposed wars in all forms. So, I mean, this is just
kind of shows what failure can do to you as well.
Yeah,
so
I mean, do you think
failed for 15 years, then you might... I mean, I remember Ryan Grimm specifically said she had contempt for the left because I guess,
I mean, that makes
as soon as she sold out, she became a winner. So.
Let me read one paragraph from the Wikipedia page now, but I've actually gone and checked these in other articles. So it's all. In 2000, Sinema worked on Ralph Nader's presidential campaign. In 2001, 2002, she ran for local elected offices independent and lost to Green. In 2002, the Arizona Republic published a letter from Sinema criticizing capitalism. So there's a quote from it apparently. Until the average American realizes that capitalism damages her livelihood while augmenting the livelihoods of the wealthy, the almighty dollar will continue to rule. And she's opposed NAFTA, the World Bank, WTO.
The disease of division. What about disease of division? That's not mentioned in our capitalism article.
Well, that came 17 years later.
Disappointing.
Listen to this line. While in the Green Party, Sinema was local spokesperson, working to repeal the death penalty and organizing anti-war protests. So it all kind of adds up with the stuff. And so, I mean,
I assume she must still be anti-death penalty. I hope at least she kept that one.
I mean, it's probably something she hasn't thought of again. Because it's not like it's not a fun political. It's not going to win you any points.
She's a senator for which state?
Arizona.
So,
and apparently she's the first Democratic senator from Arizona. So I mean, but that's
interesting. That's very.
But man, the shift is insane. But yeah. What do you think? What's the route for you? It's just not having achieved anything, unfortunately.
I don't know. She's been bought off one way or another, and in the end, who cares? Like the results are the same. But it's interesting. You see this trend globally. I think that two-party systems, at least, are places where I think two political forces Yeah, it's just there is news we're going to discuss later that the Tory MP just defected to the Labour, and the difference between two parties is just becoming. And people like Trump criticizes Iraq war and stuff from right. She's the same from left. They both go into this meat grinder and come out the same sausage. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, the lesser of two evils, like argument and all that, like I'm already dreading also
just nonsense,
the 2024 elections because of that stupid fucking, it's not even, it's not even true anymore, like, I mean, what can you point out with, you can barely point to a few things with Joe Biden.
I have a feeling it's very much going to be, I have a theory, which is not a scientific theory, it's a personal theory, that Iran is Iranians aren't crazy, they're just ahead of the curve. And everything that happens in Iran, it's just a couple of years later, US and everywhere else sort of starts copying, sort of, we are the cool kids. So I like with the, with the Arab Spring, you had the Green Spring before that, and the Green Movement, sorry. And it's always, so, but I think it's very much going to be the last Iranian elections. It's going to be the least energetic. Like nobody's going to care except the crazy fans of Democrats and Republicans. Everybody else is just whatever. We tried putting Trump in, nothing changed. We tried putting Biden in, nothing changed. Like we tried everything, nothing changes. So.
Well, everything, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, the US elections are in a way like the least like interesting or like eventful thing, because I mean, it's always between two candidates from the same two parties who vary like this much between each other. So there's not even anything, any drama or anything to it.
Well, the primaries with Bernie was genuinely,
I mean, that
for
was
me
like the
anyway.
most exciting.
Maybe I was naive.
No.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And oh man, Jeremy Corbyn election with like against Theresa May, that was a fun one, but didn't last very long. Got kind of crushed later on. But
I mean, with Bernie Sanders, maybe the left, like the real left, not Democrats, of course, but the left had like witnessed its most exciting political moment of its life.
At least in the last 40 years, since Reagan.
And for the next maybe 20 years at least, I don't know, who knows what the future holds, but.
I hope Bernie, I hope it never happens and all that, but I hope he does like a Constantine, the Roman Emperor style, like on his, like when he's about to go out, he just puts in his will that third party in my just in the last second, like you should go form a third
but then what exactly? He's dead. And then
but at least, because I don't think he's gonna do it in his lifetime, but at least maybe his will change the political either left, I don't know. If it's better if he does it now, but I don't think he's gonna, so that's all I can hope for Constantine style conversion.
I swear I can already see how the media would like cover that for years to come. They'll turn that into like a national, they'll turn that into a national holiday and just celebrate the fact that he like had that as his like death wish. Like in the US, they celebrate like Martin Luther King, and they're and they celebrate like the anniversary of we have like I Have a Dream as like a speech, and that's like all they do. They just celebrate that he made that statement, and then like that's it, and they move on. So
it's literally a celebration of nice words with little like concrete. But somebody, I think Colbert made that great joke that MLK Day is the day that we all pretend, we say his words, and pretend that he agreed with us.
So take his words out of context. That was so funny.
It just reminded me, there is a great video about Tom Lehrer. He's this fantastic old American comedian, and he has this fantastic song about National Brotherhood Week Day, which apparently was a holiday in the US and all that. Hopefully we put the link in the description, but I think that sums up my feelings about most of the most of it is just, most people just showing you off that, signal virtue signaling. Yeah, virtue signaling. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, but that joke was spot on, right? Just taking some words out of context, man, like, and being like, you see, he agreed with me.
He agreed with me. I mean, I can't believe how bellicose do you have to be? The guy who won the Virginia election, the Republican guy. I mean, Republican, like you guys you're banning education about like racism, and at the same time you're like, yeah, he agreed with me. Like, wow, oh wow, man, you should just get points for being just have the for the balls.
I swear to God. Soon I said someone like sleep with his wife or something. No, he agreed with me. You see the sentence in this book? No, do as you wish.
Do as you wish, comma, well, we don't need to read it. Do as you wish. His son is like, no, he didn't mean that. Please shut the fuck up.
No, but the way mainstream media, like, it's horrible. The way they, commemorate him and celebrate him, these fuckers. Some people have started calling mainstream media legacy media, and I'm liking that. I think there's something to it. I don't know where the legacy word comes to, but like,
I think because they're legacy from it. From a previous age of technology, I think. I assume. But I've heard that. I don't know.
Because some of these,
I prefer mainstream though.
But the network ones like CNN, MSNBC, NBC, Fox News, I mean, they're in a league of their own in terms of like bullshitness. Because I don't know, like, sure, Washington Post is also full of bullshit, but I guess since it's like written work,
they do have
you find good work. Like, CNN online, you also find some good, like, one or two good articles every now and then. Because there's all kinds of stuff. But under TV shit, I mean, that's where they go like all out.
Oh, full crazy.
Yeah, so they need maybe like a special name, even beyond mainstream media.
So, okay, maybe legacy media should be a subcategory of mainstream, because when mainstream can be like, I think pretty much Joe Rogan is now mainstream, more mainstream than CNN. Has more viewers than them. So
I mean, everybody knows him, especially among young people.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there should be establishment, as in how close they are to political power. Mainstream, as in how popular, and then legacy, as in like you say, like old-fashioned, like Fox is just like they're in a league of their own in terms of just programming and all that. So
but so are CNN. I mean, all of them.
Oh yeah, CNN. I mean, CNN, Fox. I don't know. Fox is still, to me, is just another level, and hopefully we'll discuss a segment from one of their great programmings. I mean, it's just lunacy. I mean, it does seem like that. CNN is just a bunch of creeps and liars, but in Fox they're genuinely like they need like medication,
especially not
need
even
to consult a doctor.
Especially not even like the Tucker Carlson stuff or like these evening shows. Those are the good
like
ones.
The normal one.
It's like the Fox and Friends, like the things that they fill out like the daytime, like at 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Oh my God, they're the best.
They should come with a warning, like you can't. That's the insane stuff. That's why you can't
know what they're talking about.
Like, you definitely can't play them at the airport. People will be like, what the fuck?
It's just too weird. It's too weird to play them. With CNN, it's just a bunch of liars just repeating, lies and stuff. But it's so I still find Fox somewhat worse.
No, Fox during the day.
Daytime Fox is just mental. It's mental. It's like morning British shows like Jeremy Kyle and stuff. Is it Jeremy Kyle, the guy who would shout
but
at?
I know.
What
you're referring
to. You're a loser. You're a loser. You gotta sort your life out. You don't. Why did you sleep with your sister and brother at the same time? It's just people they would find you were like, is that for real? Like, we slept with your cousin's wife's aunt. What the fuck was going on? Okay. So you can't put that on airports, I don't think.
So They're
Maybe in
next
some
level.
countries.
They're definitely next level. But okay, let's keep this party moving. Eric Adams, I saw a little segment on Jacobin, and Ross Barkin was just talking about him. So he just kind of introduced me to him. So he's the mayor of New York now. So I don't know too much, but he seems like a
you haven't seen
savvy
videos
guy.
from him?
No. So he seems like a savvy, evil guy who knows what he's doing, no? Or
Oh no.
no,
Oh,
really?
No, he's an idiot. He's a savvy idiot. He's as I agree. This is my view, but the Chapo Trap House guys talked about him a couple of times, and they say he's like the equivalent of Democrats Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got that sort of working. He's not savvy. He's just bullish, and
Yeah.
he's got that grit. I mean, it's so ridiculous to associate Trump with any grit, but whatever, he talks about everybody in the city as if they're his own personal slaves. I love it. Every time he's doing a speech, my lawyers in this city are not happy about what's going on. My dishwashers, they want to go back to work. My restaurant owners, my police officers. I think he may have mistaken the position of mayor of New York with the Egyptian pharaoh. And I think he literally thinks he owns people, because like my reporters are reporting stuff from like news sites. It's so funny, but no, he's an idiot, but he's got some authenticity.
Yeah,
he's got that Trump thing to it,
But so he's the kind of idiot who can become president, don't know?
I think so, yeah. I mean, he's got, I mean, to be fair,
because Trump is savvy. Trump definitely had some smarts and knew what he was doing in many ways.
Yeah, he knows where the room goes. They got that animal like sense of, they can feel where the room is going. But I think he would have a more difficult problem, because I think he's really out of bounds with your average democratic voter.
But I mean, he became mayor of New York.
Well, I mean, that was more, I think, to do with the fact that he was the Democratic nominee. He wasn't beaten by Andrew Yang or anyone in the primary. So, I mean,
I don't know enough. I don't know enough.
You're right. But... No, good. I mean, he's definitely, if anybody, I mean, it's just he feels too, you know what I mean? Like for a party that's, for the party establishment that is really, really wants somebody like Pete Buttigieg, he's really hardcore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to read some stuff from his past, because I knew you didn't know him. I thought you may have seen some videos of him, but he's got some amazing
just that
stuff.
video on Jacobin is the first time
That's the only thing?
Yeah.
Oh man, he's got it amazing. Let me read this. This is from New York Times, but I'm reading it from the Wikipedia right now. All right. Nice. So So first of all, I'd like to tell you that he's been running for mayor of, I believe, New York since like early 1990s, right? And he was considered the joke candidate for a long time.
Really?
And now he's the defund the police candidate. But listen to this. During the 1993 mayoral election, Adams, a supporter of incumbent candidate for mayor David Dinkins, made a controversial comment about the candidate for New York State Comptroller, Herman Badillo. Adams said that if Badillo, who was Puerto Rican, were concerned about Hispanic community, he would have married a Hispanic woman, not a Jewish woman. These comments became a point of turmoil in the election and caused controversy for Dinkins, who ultimately lost the election. So this is the type of guy we're talking about.
But
so
I mean,
funny. If he cared about Hispanic community, why did he marry you?
This didn't seem as smart as I would expect it, but it kind of goes along with what Ross Barkin was saying, I think, in Jacobin, because he was kind of saying he'll insult the
he's opportunist,
and that too, but he insult the African American community in like a halfway, and while also knowing that he can lean onto his own identity politics for it to not come off too bad, so that he can say something like that and just like, still survive having made that kind of statement.
Oh yeah, and he's really funny. He uses all these racial stuff, but then he's very much that's the thing. He's opportunist. The best I think word to put is opportunist for sure, which is it's another good ability to have in politics. So he may be the future Democratic president. So
I mean, let's summarize a bit what we've talked about right now. So I mean, me sitting in my room here, I don't see what like real left, left, not the Democrats, what the hell they can do in the next 5 elections. The Democrats themselves don't really have anyone to even like as a Democratic candidate, really. I mean, instead of Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden and stuff, unless one of these people like Kyrsten Sinema or, even Eric Adams in 8 years or something like that. So these kind of people, and the Republicans, it seems like they have a better like supply of people coming in. They have Trump for now. And then after, I feel they just have
DeSantis.
Or somebody else. They have but Democrats also, they'll find someone.
I think the most honest like description of our situation was the one that Joe Biden gave after coming out of the meeting, that guys, I don't know, I hope we can do something, but is this on? Is this work? Is this on? Hello? Oh shit, the bank is for closing on the White House. I have to go move my stuff. At this point, the political system is just completely impotent. It's just shooting blanks, if shooting anything. And it's over, man. It's over. It's just, I'm worried about Joe Biden.
He's not even wise anymore. I mean, you've been doing conferences for how long? Since when is it your job to, to take care of the microphone? It's always on. Just come and speak.
I'll ask questions about complicated subjects like, can you get this done? I hope we can get this done. The honest to God answer is, I don't know whether we can get this done. Is this mic on? I guess, anyway. And I'm not sure either. But anyway, I hope we can get this done. But I'm not sure. But one thing for certain, like every other major civil rights bill that came along, if we missed the first time, we could come back and try it a second time.
But of course you have nothing to say, He was like, is this table wobbly? Okay, someone hold on. Someone come and fix this stand right now. Are you guys good? Anybody want water, Coke, anything, Diet Coke? We can get it for you. He just seems
sandwiches. Cucumber sandwiches coming right to
He just looked like he was killing time.
At this point, the best we can hope from a president is like good catering for the press, and a microphone. So we are at that stage. Left can't do. The problem is the whole state apparatus is impotent. It's not just about left or right anymore. It's just at this point, and something will come to, as always, vacuums will be filled. So I hope it's just not something as scary like Reagan. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know, as someone who does nothing, but I'm extremely pessimistic today. I don't know why. Or like recently.
Looking at us, I mean, it's not good.
So I'm not pointing at the finger at anyone, but I'm just saying.
Pointing the finger at ourselves. Considering our own level of ability and output, it's not looking great.
and
I mean, just saying,
probably won't be the end of the world. Just more people who are suffering, more of them will suffer, and more middle class people will still most likely get by in Western countries. And
but it's over, guys. We don't know. Is this working? Is this
All right, Sam, let's move on to our progressive press segment, although none of these articles are written by any progressives or featured in progressive outlets, but, we can perhaps give a progressive twist to them. So this first one, I mean, I was being all pessimistic in the previous segment about, what the future holds for us. But I think this Canadian professor is taking it a bit too far. So the Guardian wrote, US could be under right-wing dictator by 2030, Canadian professor warns. Canadian political scientist warns an op-ed of Trumpist threat to American democracy and possible effect on northern neighbor, being Canada. The US could be under right-wing dictatorship by 2030.
Isn't it already?
That's a good one. Eh? That's a good one.
No, I should be murdered for that.
No.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to get the door, but okay, let me continue, right? So the US could be under right-wing dictatorship by 2030, a Canadian political science professor has warned, urging his country to protect itself against the collapse of American democracy. We mustn't dismiss these possibilities just because they seem ludicrous or too horrible to imagine. In 2014, the suggestion that Donald Trump would become president would have also struck nearly everyone as absurd. But today we live in a world where the absurd regularly becomes real and the horrible commonplace. So this is one thing that really pisses me off. So quotes from him, which is that just because Donald Trump became president and fine, like people didn't think he could become, and the polling got it right to an extent and the experts got it wrong. Now, anything else you can just point to, be like, oh, you see Trump happened. Since Trump happened, you should believe like whatever crap I'm telling you. It doesn't work that way. You know, in Canada, they tried to run a similar figure as like Trump to become prime minister. It did not, did not go far. So just because one thing happened, you can't justify everything else. But I'll just read 2 more paragraphs, which sum up really his whole rationale behind this.
I thought he has, there is a...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
By 2025, American democracy could collapse, causing extreme domestic political instability, including widespread civil violence. By 2030, if not sooner, the country could be governed by a right-wing dictatorship. The author cited eventualities centered on a Trump return to the White House in 2024, possibly including Republican-held state legislators refusing to accept a Democratic win. Just one more. Trump, he warned, will have only 2 objectives: vindication and vengeance of the lie that his 2020 defeat by Joe Biden was the result of electoral fraud. I mean, first of all, you don't need the American system they've hacked the system, right? You can't be like blamed for corruption because corruption is part of the system. You don't need a dictatorship and, you know, make yourself all, how do you say it? Like, you know, easy target for criticism. No, you have the Democrat and Republican is only based out of these 2 that someone can become a president, and it's very defined the scope of everything that they discuss. So it would even be like against your own objectives if you want, you know, for Republicans and Republican leaders to set up a dictatorship, as this person predicts, in the next 8 years.
I mean, first of all, it sounds like a great novel.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump comes back with a vengeance and fury. There will be war. There will be blood. So that sounds good. He should, you know, do some fictional writing. Secondly, I think it's just the whole way of framing the thing is ridiculous, as you say, and that's why it's so idiotic. Because you think like in, let's say, North Korea, the guy comes out one day and says, okay, guys, I'm the dictator now. We are changing this. Is everybody, they claim to be democratic everywhere. China, North Korea, America, and all of it to a degree is true, and to a large degree probably a lie in all cases. So it's just like, it's a very idiot. What do you mean collapse into a dictatorship? What do you mean, a one-party system with Democrats being hunted down or something? Or, by the way, why necessarily dictatorship doesn't even mean collapse? Maybe a dictator will come that is, you know, like fascists in Italy or something, puts the whole population to work because of the large unemployment. And that's a real dangerous possibility we have with the current, you know, with the current impotence of the states that are supposedly the strongest states in the whole world, like US and, you know, to a lesser extent, Europe, to a lesser extent Russia, blah blah blah. So I think it's such a childish view that there is democracy, there is dictatorship, and one day we're gonna transfer, and we have to be careful for the collapse. I mean, what are you talking about? Like, you have
and
to
this
be
guy is
far
a
more
political
precise.
science professor, so
I
he's
know
teaching kids this kind of shit.
Man, General McMaster is the guy we discussed last week. He teaches at like a university.
But at least they would know. He's a military guy, and he's talking
that.
I mean, this guy, I don't know. He's just probably an academic.
Well, now you do.
Know.
I mean, you could go read his work, and and now you do.
Jesus.
I know. I wonder. I only read the article. I wonder if there is a paper he has written. Maybe there is some evidence.
He wrote an op-ed. I highly.
Op-ed? Okay.
No, I mean, some of these things you can't find like evidence. It's like saying like read the Bible and then you'll believe. Like there's no book. Like books don't have that power.
No,
like,
but a rational.
Yeah.
No, but a rational, like as in how it would go about or like, something.
Like a drawing. Okay, Trump is here. Okay, put an arrow. Rationale. People are reasonable. Plus 2.
Not anymore.
Becomes danger.
Because as you read the rationale was like by 2024 it could collapse. Well, that's one guess. I guess that's one. Like how exactly? What's going on anyway?
And it all centers around Trump. If Trump doesn't come, it's all good.
It's all good. There is no potential. Nobody else likes to become a dictator at all.
Man, if everything was around this, and I love how we saw a Trump presidency.
Yeah, and he can't handle
dictatorship.
Different?
Was anything different? I mean, someone refresh my memory. Maybe I've forgotten.
No, to be honest, since Biden has been so bad on immigration and stuff, I was going to say maybe on immigration issues, but he's been pretty same. But it's just, but Trump had opportunities to become a dictator and he doesn't want to do this. He barely was, he was barely a president. He was on Twitter watching TV all the time.
Yeah.
You need some, some effort.
And others wouldn't want this. I mean, if I was a Republican with a lot of power, their current system is much smarter. Their current system it's much more like bulletproof.
Man. I agree, but sometimes you get big egos. The DeSantis guy, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's so ridiculous, the whole argument of the guy hinging Trump as like the, one guy or, But it was very worrisome. As you famously once said, democracy needs to bulk up.
It's always under threat, huh?
Yeah. This poor kid always under threat.
There's never a day when democracy is not under threat.
You need to go to jiu-jitsu classes. Self-defense.
Should we move on to the other New York Times article, which makes even less sense than this one? There's another Guardian article that we kind of were skipping, and this one was just all about coming together and talking and not facing right-wing populism with just with censorship. So it wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but it was just
it was by Jeff Sparrow. It was actually interesting because he did actually quite specifically, he points out the criticisms of democracy that is currently we are facing, that is this Platonic idea that masses can't be controlled, so you need a philosopher king or stuff. But then when he comes to a solution, I thought he just goes back to your usual, let me read this, just the last paragraph. The withering of opportunities for ordinary people to exercise meaningful power over their collective affairs gives the Platonic critique of democracy an unwarranted credibility. So fantastic, good analysis. Conversely, the more we practice governing ourselves by debating, by organizing, by demonstrating and protesting, the more natural democracy seems and the more isolated demagogues become. Well, I wish it got just a bit more specific about what does he mean by debating and organizing, because if anything, I feel like all we do is debate and talk and stuff, and sadly there is no action
in non-powerful
taken,
ways, right? In non-meaningful ways. So during like the
Yeah.
debates and the elections and the presidencies and primaries, there is no debate kind of actually. But then us among the left and everything, we do debate all the time. So I'll give you that. So if there was a world, that's why I said it's not so bad. If there was really a world where discussions went, were meaningful and they led to something, then I mean, what he's writing is not so bad.
Everything starts from discussion or idea or whatever. But I mean, the video we're going to discuss later, Katie Albert's podcast, I think Trevor, I forget his family name, guy, he made the point that, after Trump, I thought there would be an end to this this liberal need for discussion, constant discussion, bringing everybody together. But after Trump came to power, it was like a jolt of reality to the system. But then it has come back with a vengeance in a way since Biden. And I kind of I wish there was more plans of action rather than discussions. Like, this is one plan of action, this is another plan of action. So, but we shouldn't probably have mentioned it, but we did. So
no, we did. Now I mentioned, can I just make one more point? I mean, definitely. Maybe people maybe this makes sense to a lot of people, and I don't give people enough credit. But these articles and some of these videos that we watch, and in the last few videos I've talked about this too, the language is so complicated that who are you reaching with? The withering of opportunities for ordinary people to exercise meaningful power over their collective affairs gives the Platonic critique of democracy and unwarranted credibility. I mean, this wasn't even the worst one, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. All right. I'm taking this a bit personal now, because I was like, this is great, fantastic. Now you're okay. It does sound a bit douchey, and it does sound, I know. It could just say lack of opportunities, over your life. It sucks. And
it just depends who you're trying to reach. If you're trying to reach a bunch of people who are in this kind of world, and and in their spare time they're watching Marcusa videos and bad fade podcasts and this kind of thing when they're at home, then
what's
sure,
wrong
they
with
love
that? Are
this.
we not people?
Yeah.
Are we not people?
We are, but I thought we're trying to reach, as big of not us, but others who are trying to enact change. You think that you want to reach an audience who's not necessarily fully into politics in this way, or political philosophy and, Platonic critique.
Are you telling me your average mechanic or somebody who works in an office doesn't know about the Platonic critique of democracy? Are you saying that that's not common knowledge to all? I mean,
maybe they do. I don't know.
Disgrace.
Maybe they went to one of
some
these
of them do.
Great schools where they teach critical race theory and God knows what. So I didn't go to one of those, unfortunately. I missed the boat. I went to school where they teach you 2 + 2, A, B, C, D. There was no
really
serious discussions of.
No, I didn't know about this take of yours, and I feel genuinely under attack and marginalized and triggered. I feel triggered. All right,
but okay, let's move on then.
This is the start of the breakage in our feud, in our relationship.
Let's move on to an article that I don't think anybody would understand, no matter what.
All right, let me give you a bit of I sent you 2 articles about Biden administration. It was actually part of it's part of a trinity of how do you say? It's like a trinity of idiotic takes on Biden administration. Basically, trinity of basically 3 people who are trying to bullshit you. One of them comes from a former university of mine, so I'm dishing a bit dirt there. But so there is one I want to start with actually one that I don't know if you read that one, which is What is Joe Biden Thinking by Ross Douthat.
Oh no, I didn't see this one.
I sent this one, but oh man, this one is great. So in this one, the guy Ross Douthat, he argues, well, let me just read because I want you to be since you haven't read it as well. So this is his analysis of how Biden won, right? Biden won in 2020 as the moderate nominee of a partially radicalized party, which created an inherent uncertainty about what his victory would mean for policymaking. Whether he would use his centrist cred to push an Elizabeth Warren-style agenda. As we know, Elizabeth-style Warren agenda was so progressive and so radical, almost so radical while you read it, you fell asleep. But, or govern primary as a bipartisan triangulator, a moderate in full. He goes on to say, the GOP was damaged and internally at war. We had vaccine for the coronavirus that offered the prospect of a quick return to normalcy. And it seemed like the hoped for Biden boom might create a space for an ambitious progressive agenda. This was the atmosphere in which Biden's expansive proposals earned him comparison to Franklin Roosevelt, and in which his first Rooseveltian effort, the recovery bill, passed with surprising ease. I don't know,
what world was this guy living?
Yeah, I think he's living in a parallel universe. And as we discuss other articles, we find other people who are living in that parallel universe. But it sounds like a very interesting parallel universe. I don't know what Roosevelt did in that universe, but he certainly didn't do New Deal. He did something far more watered down. But this is the part that it really this is where the universes really diverge. But then came harsh reality, the Delta variant, the Afghanistan mess, the inflation spiral. The Afghanistan mess is sort of thrown in there because, as we know, I don't think anybody really cared, or nobody is even covering Afghanistan anymore. They just finished. They're finished with it. 2 months after the whole army pulled back, nobody cares anymore.
Man, that lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. Now the real divergence. And yet the early progressive expectations for a transformative presidency nevertheless endured. They were palpable throughout the Build Back Better negotiations, and they remained evident in the rage against Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Thus, the strategic argument for Biden's recent maneuver might be that he felt the need to go all the way with the progressive wing of his party, embrace the bombast, and actively take their side against Manchin and Sinema. I mean, I don't know which universe he lives in, but as far as I recall, Build Back Better. It was originally, I believe, 10 billion was the original. Then it was 6 billion. Then
trillion.
And trillion. So, and then it trillion. It was
right.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I forget. Anyways, but it was watered down to $1.5 trillion or something, right? So yeah, he was really embracing the bombast there. He was going hard at Joe Manchin. I mean, Joe Manchin's daughter is a corrupt, and nobody mentions that, including Bernie. So yeah, and he goes on to say that basically this is very bad. And this is his bombast and his rhetoric, and apparently he's recently gave a speech about the voting rights and all that. It's not going to work. And to be honest, in a way, I kind of agree with his conclusion. Let me just read this last one. I kind of agree with that point he makes. But generally, politicians find reasons to forgive or forget when power forces them to do so. And power is what Biden conspicuously lacks right now. An escalation that exposes only impotence beneath. And I do agree that, yeah, he's completely impotent and we shouldn't expect more. But the way he characterizes the history of us getting here is just, I love it. It's
just wrote his own thing.
Yeah, he's just living in his own. I mean, I don't know if he's genuinely living in a bubble or he just pretends. I don't know what's your take.
Like I've said, you're allowed to be wrong, and and then they go flip out at Joe Rogan and everything for introducing wrong narratives and stuff. I mean, exactly. He just made up his own storyline.
I mean, am I crazy though? He's just making stuff up, right? Sometimes you wonder, is Biden genuinely? Maybe Biden is a communist, and I didn't know about it. It's like he's been fighting. I don't know. Now moving on to, if he was the father of the Trinity, now moving to the Holy Ghost. Ezra Klein from, again, New York Times. My headphones might run out soon. So
this one, I feel like reading like paragraphs won't do it justice. You kind of need to also like explain it, but maybe it does. I don't know. Give it a shot.
No, I'll read paragraphs. I'll try to explain it, but well, I failed to understand it. But
me too.
Ezra Klein was somebody who was very much in contact with Obama administration, so he has a lot of contacts there, and he has a lot of contacts now with the Biden people too. Like same, because as he mentions in the article, they are the same people, right? And then he goes on to argue that Biden has the opposite problem of Obama. It's not that he's not like, first of all, economy is doing much better than you think. And we'll come back to that because he references an article by Paul Krugman, the sun in this analogy I'm going for, because I'm going to then discuss his article. So the Holy Ghost goes on to say that, they are the same people, but they are saying different things. And with Obama, we had a problem of demand. And now we have a problem of supply. And I kind of get the supply thingy that he's saying that they don't produce enough and the shipping and all that, because right now we have supply side issues because economy is in shocks from Corona and other issues it was overheated anyway and all that. But I'm just going to read some parts because what the hell are you on about? I think he's taken too many Adderalls and has stayed awake for too many days. And he's just writing bullshit. And it's just, and by the way, Biden administration is pretty much the same as Obama administration, and they are doing the same things, which is nothing. So, it's not, it's easy to copy nothing. It's just nothing. Anyway, so let me start. He first goes on to say that, everybody is the same, basically. Then the familiar names and faces can obscure how different the new administration in practice has become. Oh my God, how different. Perfect inversion of the problems Obama faced. The Obama administration was bedeviled. Oh my God. All of these assholes with their, I agree with you. Yeah. There's a significant number of writers who just want to show off how many words they know. Bedeviled by the crisis of demand. The Biden administration is struggling with the crisis of supply. For years, every conversation I had with Obama administration economists was about how to persuade employers to hire and consumers to spend. Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. That's
but
what
it still doesn't make any sense though, because he's like taking. The things haven't changed because the supply and demand are not the same thing. He's taking the supply from some physical goods not being ready, and some employers not being able to find, employees because they're not paying them correctly or enough. Equating that with the demand issue being that, back then the financial crisis that just happened. But now too, there are all kinds of demand issues and people not having enough money and there's still being poverty and all this. So it doesn't work out. These two are not the same.
I know, but no, that just shows how goddamn. These people are living in a tunnel.
Yeah,
it's tunnel vision all the way through. Listen to this. Exactly. That's I don't know why I didn't get it in the first. I'm not very bright either, but it's still Obama administration economists. Every conversation I had was about how to persuade employers to hire and consumers to spend more. As far as these guys are concerned, the only actors that actually should be active in a market are basically employers and consumers. Basically, workers and a state, they don't exist.
Yeah.
Like a state can't come in and prop up the demand or help with the supply. You have to pursue employers and consumers. So people who own businesses or people who have money to spend on businesses. Jesus Christ, I shouldn't have missed that. Sorry about that. So that kind of puts the whole thing in quite a perspective. But I like to, so that was your take that basically.
He's trying to be like clever and smart, right? Like playing on the supply and demand words.
Bullshit.
But
that's definitely
they don't like cover and then he's trying to make a very comprehensive, like holistic kind of like overview and breakdown of the situation, right? He's not just talking about parts of the economy. And then like it's almost an analogy that he's trying to advance, which I find to be very much like failed.
I swear to God, man, that's what I was going to say. I promise you, he must have nutted when he like, oh my God,
for sure. He was like, supply. Now people want the masks and they're not here, the supply chain. And back then, nobody was spending money.
Oh my God.
But you know,
oh my God.
But coming back to my argument of, you know, this, he is not trying to, I guess, reach the masses or a lot of people. He's just trying to make, I don't know, some elites happy with his articles and stuff. So it's fine if they don't make sense, because it's not really about convincing anyone. But if you're trying to really convince people, and then you still use some of these like vague kind of language and stuff, just the past few weeks I've been thinking, I don't know if it gets you anywhere. Yeah.
No, this is all about making your readers, apologies about that. Yeah, no, this is all about making the 5 people who do read New York Times feel okay about their position in society and about their, you know, this is all justified. The economy is not doing as bad. We are on the right path. I mean, that's why, the feel good of it, that's why I wanted to read some more paragraph from it, because again, feel good of it, and the fact that these people are literally living in a parallel universe. So, but we do have problems. Thank God. You know, there is some, reality is, breaking through sometimes. Year-on-year inflation is running at a 7%, its highest rate in decades. And Omicron has shown that the Biden administration wasted months of possible preparation. It is not to blame for the new variant. It is not, but it is to blame for the paucity. Goddamn. You're right. I'm completely against all writers. Paucity of tests, effective masks, and ventilation upgrades. No, it's not to the blame for the, Omicron. I'm sorry, which companies? Couldn't the government say that, you can't copyright the vaccine? And people in Africa, last week covered, they're burning vaccines because they're, because they're running out, they're becoming expired. They're expiring, and there are still many countries in which many people are awaiting vaccines. So no, the most powerful nation in the world, and a government which is connected to every pharmaceutical company, they have no responsibility in this regard. They are not at fault. Come on, guys, please. It is just he continues his. Some of it is just nonsense. Listen to what was it? They need ports to clear more shipments, and Pfizer to make more antiviral pills, and shipping companies to hire more truckers, and schools to upgrade their ventilation systems. Who's gonna but if the state doesn't come in, and consumers and the business owners, it's not in their benefits, who do you expect to do this shit?
And they need to increase wages, and they need to improve the education system, and they need to forgive student loans, and they need to implement better healthcare system. So all these things he also doesn't talk about, because I guess it doesn't fall in his supply and demand analogy.
People are, some people are, very negative on a consumer society, but just as a consumer, come on, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, what do you think a consumer should be? Oh my God, these idiots. I'm just being, I'm being facetious. Obviously, consumer markets can't work. Consumer markets can't manage shipments and pharmaceutical shipments. Are you crazy? Anyways, he goes on. Some of these problems, some of them, not all of them, some of these problems reflect the Biden administration's successes. Read my colleagues Paul Krugman for more on this. We move on to Sun soon, but before that, this guy is crazy, man. I don't know what he's talking about. And he talks about their successes. He's talking about the 2 minutes that like Biden was doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Which was
It's
pretty
just,
much the Afghanistan withdrawal, which they see as a problem anyway. But
well, they
and
see the
yeah,
recovery bill as a success as well,
yeah.
which
I mean,
the left doesn't consider as a success at all.
and they've extended a few coronavirus like emergency things, right? Like a few things on taxes, childcare support.
Finally, yeah,
things that
finally
Trump
they're
was doing was probably the.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, listen to this. It's talking about this government. It did an extraordinary job in its first month, flooding the country with vaccines. Today, any adult who wants 1 or 3 can get the shot, but vaccine aren't the only public health tool that matters. And there was every reason to believe that the Biden administration knew it. The American Rescue Plan had about 20 billion for vaccine distribution, but it had 50 billion to expand testing, and even more than that to retrofit classrooms so teachers and children alike would feel safe. Where did that money go? First of all, it went mostly to corporation handouts, so just so he knows. Secondly, I mean, again, and this, by the way, just highlights, like, they expect the government to do all of this for vaccines and stuff. So why not do it for the whole healthcare?
Yeah.
Why not have It's as if maybe government should have been managing healthcare. No. It's as if that's the suggestion that comes off of this article.
No, I mean, I think this article is just too much.
I mean, this is the last thing I'm gonna read from it. Getting the pandemic supply chain right would help ease every other supply chain. As you said, like, yeah, this whole article came about because he figured out he can make an analogy between
with
supply.
the
And free market. If Americans could move about their lives more confidently, they could buy services instead of things. And if companies could test and protect their workforces more effectively, they could produce and ship more goods. I mean, it's like, so blatantly from a perspective of a consumer or a business owner, nobody else matters. Like, these people, I love it though, because it proves that they don't consider themselves as doing real jobs, because I don't think they are doing real jobs either. But you know, they are just consumers and people who have things. There is not, like, you know, I mean, he's not even a business owner, he's just a parasite. So.
Yeah. No, this was a very confusing, and I mean, it could only pass as an op-ed piece. I love the op-ed piece is supposed to mean it's your opinion, not just write whatever you want.
Well, that's, I mean, yeah, what can I say? It does feel like at this point it's just, and let's coming to the last point in our Holy Trinity. I'm not going to read much from this. I'm just going to read the title, and I think it speaks for itself. It's by Paul Krugman, who, yeah, it's just, I mean, I used to be more positive on him. More and more time passes, it's just more and more disappointing.
He just discovers things always like 4 years later. He's like, oh yeah.
About 20 years. Maybe we shouldn't have. No, but and he's been strawmanning a lot. So yeah. Anyway, the economic case for Goldilocks. So yeah, I think from the title people can guess. So let's start. For the US economy, 2021 was both the best of times and the worst of times. Well, maybe not that bad, but it's still, I mean, come on, man, you're an economist. You're not a fucking English lit grad. You don't need to do this. Like, you know, this is from Tale of Two. Anyway, the good news, Colin. I mean, that's, by the way, another sign of a very fantastic, you know, writer using colon. Anyway, the good news, unemployment plunged thanks to rapid growth and job creation, falling as fast as it did during the Morning in America recovery of the early 1980s. The bad news, inflation hit its highest levels in decades. So economists who warned early last year about inflation were right, while those of us who downplayed the risk or predicted only a brief interlude of rising prices were wrong. So this article, which is just, I mean, it's very short and very nonsensical, but it goes on to argue that actually we are living in a, like, it's Goldilocks. It's not like it's perfect because you
Yeah.
know it's a good level of unemployment and it's a good level of inflation for growth and stuff. And Biden administration is doing great, you know. So you know, no worries, guys. So it's all doing great. How do you feel? Do you feel it's
No, definitely. Just like a few small issues, a few small kinks to work through, and that's it.
I don't know which universe these people are living in. I mean,
no, he actually gets on my nerves a lot, Paul
yeah.
Krugman, because he like presents himself as, you know,
Oh,
he's
I
like this
wish.
leftist economist kind of thing. So he's like a double fraud.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I wish I sent you this article. Then I just came across it this morning. But he's just, I mean, I don't want to read more from it because it's mostly nonsense. But he just goes on to say that, yeah, it's good. Basically, that, you know, most of the problem is right now with service industry, because service industry is the one hit hardest, and we should focus on bringing that back up and all that. It's some nonsensical stuff. It was just, I mean, it was so funny that you know, New York Times had these 3 articles. It does feel like New York Times is op-eds are basically like lawyers for Biden administration. like, no, guys, look into my eyes, look into my eyes, look into my eyes. It's a parallel universe. It's a parallel universe.
No.
Biden is doing great. Goldilocks,
Mhm.
Goldilocks, Goldilocks.
No, these op-eds just target such a specific demographic of people who read
Yeah, maybe
them.
I didn't think of that before you said it, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's the only way it can make sense, and it will sound maybe good to them, and then may feel good. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of shit we're gonna be experiencing for the next 3 years and stuff. And you know, what if I mean, next year
Oh
and
man.
stuff, I mean, people talk about Joe Biden being a lame duck president for the next 3 years. That's a long time, you know, because I
Yeah,
feel like
that's the
he's
thing.
soon gonna run out of like the things that he tried in his agenda. I mean,
It's
we'll see.
already pretty much
yeah.
the voting rights seems pretty much dead as well. So it's over, and he's gonna lose the House for sure, I think, in the next year election. So next year, or is it less than a year now? I don't know.
Yeah, in a year.
We are in 2021.
Yeah.
Now. But yeah,
22.
so
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Going full Biden. We're gonna start 1996 with a great spirit, guys.
All right, Sam, let's move on to some progressive geopolitics. And before we cover a little bit the stories that we found, for anybody interested of learning more about Kazakhstan and what happened there with the protests and everything, Gray Zone, I think it was last Friday or Saturday, they did a great 2-hour-long podcast.
That was awesome.
With Pepe Escobar, and he really seems to know what is going on there. And yeah, I mean, one of the main things that he was arguing about was that, you know, how this was one of the last attempts at a color revolution. So meaning that like Western, like, you know, British and Americans, but also Turkish, you know,
yeah, that was very interesting aspect.
Affiliates trying to, you know, take away Kazakhstan out of like the Russia and China kind of sphere of influence, especially Russia, but how that like they failed miserably at doing that. So yeah, that's just great stuff if people want to go listen to it. I don't know if I have anything else to add or if you do.
No, it was great. It's I mean, it was quite interesting. I read a couple of articles after that about the Turkish like influence in that region and the games they want to play, and they were trying to use wedges to grow their influence and all that. But what was also interesting, he said that there was a good chance maybe Russia knew, or you know, they were ready for this or something.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. And he seemed to be like, yeah, exactly. He seemed to be like, it was like an interview with Lawrence of Arabia or something, like somebody who has been in the region for like 15 years, met with all the locals. I know all the costumes. You know, I know how to, first you drink tea with the right hand and you put the finger up. Yeah, otherwise it's disrespectful.
Yeah,
it was so cool. It was genuinely like interviewing like somebody it was so cool. I mean, he seems like one of the coolest people ever. So.
No, it was a great stuff. And he also has an article out of it. But I don't have it here under my eyes to say where it's written. But okay. Oh, I think I had it right.
I half expected him to go like in the middle of the interview, go, guys, be quiet. I have to go now. I have to go. There are connections going.
Here he wrote it here in the cradle. After Kazakhstan, the color revolution is over. So if people want to also read that article, he makes the same points. But okay, moving on from color revolution and all that, what's our Yemen story about?
Well, there was an attack. Well, it's Yemen and UAE, really. There was an attack, drone and ballistic, apparently, attack on UAE, which sounds crazy. Sadly, 3 people died, 6 people were injured, but it's a huge escalation of conflict between Yemenis and UAE forces, which is kind of odd because last year, if you recall, there was some talks that UAE actually might be taking a slightly more conciliatory tone towards Houthi compared to Saudi Arabia. But clearly things hasn't panned out. And yeah, that was very crazy. And then UAE responded with, they bombed some places in Sana'a, I believe, in Yemen.
Yeah.
And, a couple of civilians died there, but reports there are less clear. So, your usual back and forth, but it was quite an escalation. So it's worth mentioning, I think.
No, definitely. And has it been, because I read an article too on it. I don't know if I watched Al Jazeera yesterday and stuff. Has it been all over kind of TV or no?
Yeah, it was for 2 days.
I would imagine.
For day and stuff, it was.
Makes sense.
Because it was pretty good. Like, they hit I think they hit Abu Dhabi airport, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
So it was like, there were videos of people like taking, they use their own cameras and stuff. So.
Okay,
that's
quite
escalation. Although interestingly, it didn't seem to have the usual anti-Iranian media thing that Iran is responsible and all that. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
it seemed to be like Houthis are starting to be viewed separately, maybe.
Yeah, although the one article, one or 2 articles that I read on this topic, they did say the Iran-backed Houthis. But I mean, that's
it wasn't in the title.
Nobody can write Houthis without that. They're like, Houthis, no, the spelling's not right. Oh yeah, Iran.
I missed something. It's a compound word. But no, that was interesting. And then moving on,
and then we have Syria. So I can just read a short sentence on this. So I saw this was pretty interesting, I found. So China is of course trying to get every country possible. They have like memorandums of understanding like 2/3 of the world's countries, I believe, around their Belt and Road Initiative, like something huge. So Syria has officially joined China's Intercontinental Belt and Road Initiative, defying strict US sanctions in hope of securing a lifeline for lucrative investment in a country still ravaged by more than a decade of civil war. Damascus' participation was initiated during a ceremony Tuesday through the signing of a memorandum of understanding by Syrian Planning and International Cooperation Authority Chair Fadi Al-Khalil and Chinese ambassador to Syria, Feng Biao. So, I mean, this is maybe a positive development. It's not a too bad thing if you ask me. It's not the worst thing.
The thing is, I think most of these, I think are mostly ceremonial or just for the show, because when you have your banks cut off from the international banking system, and I don't remember if Syria, they're cut off from SWIFT or not. But when you have it cut off like that, it's large. I don't know, even Chinese, it's very difficult for the Chinese to do business with you.
Yeah, it makes it hard. But...
I would be interested in looking into that.
But I think
if anybody knows anything.
The way it's going, Bashar Assad is going to have, it seems like it, more and more power and legitimacy and credibility in the years to come. So by the time they build, and what is this anyway? This means that I guess some train lines are gonna pass by there, and if they can, they'll sell some stuff to Damascus and take some stuff from Syria and sell it other places.
Yeah. Although you still remember there are parts of Syria that are still not under his control.
No, that's for sure. But that was a little development there on Syrian front. then let's move on to Iran and the nuclear deal. Anything to mention there?
There are continued positive signs coming out that it seems that Iran is. There are good signs coming out. Iran went to China. Actually, Iran announced, kind of connects well with the Syrian story. They announced that their 25-year cooperation deal started. And again, I don't know how substantive that really is, but it certainly, I think, was a political move to do it while the nuclear talks are still not finished. So Iran, I think, is trying to maximize its leverage, I think. And I think that also because I believe tomorrow or in the next few days, Iranian president is supposed to go to Russia to meet with Vladimir Putin, as well as to give a speech to Duma, the Russian parliament. So, it seems Iran is trying to put up a very strong front right now for the nuclear talks. That's what it seems to me.
Yeah, and I also saw concerning Iran that since they completely cut their ties with Saudi Arabia in 2016, now for the first time they've sent 3 diplomats to work in a kind of office or organization in Saudi Arabia. Did you read that? Did you come across that?
There seems to be Iran is invited to, I forget the name of the organization. I think Gulf Council Cooperation or one of
there you go.
one of the Arab things. Iran has been invited back to that as sort of an observer member or something. So as I think we talked about, it's like a couple of months ago and stuff, when we were still doing more news and stuff. It seems as US is retreating from the region, we are seeing more regional activity, both as we see in the case of UAE and Yemen, in some cases escalation with regional players, or in case of Iran and Saudi Arabia, as we've seen during the last few months, somewhat de-escalation of conflict. So that's regional players are becoming more important. So the same could be said about Kazakhstan, because Turkey, I know Turkey is on the other side of the, because Iran sort of cuts through but there are many Turkic-speaking people in Kazakhstan and stuff. So you could argue Turkey is more of a regional player.
No, definitely. And then you mentioned Russia. We have some Ukraine.
Yeah.
We have Ukraine here.
So Russia, I think, is also in its, in its face off with the West, is trying to also shore up sort of its own, shore up its own position, let's say. And they had a military training thingy in training. What you could? It's not a military conference. It's a military. What is it?
Practice.
Parade. I think it was training, this one, actually. But yeah, anyways, they had some military stuff in Belarus, which is a very close ally of Russia, especially more recently. And the Iranian president going to visit Putin, that's quite something. That's, it's not heard of for an Iranian president to meet Russian president. It's not very common. And Russia seems to be shoring up its own, especially after, Kazakhstan was a big win for Russia. And there was also a report by BBC Monitoring. It doesn't say who's the writer, that there may be plans for Russia to even send military forces to Cuba and Venezuela. I don't know how true that is, but it seems that this type of articles are being written and stuff. So Russia, at least in the Western media, is portrayed as becoming stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I don't know about those other 2 examples you just stated, but
the Cuba and Venezuela.
Yeah.
It's the sources for it are Argentinian newspapers and stuff, and I couldn't, to be honest, I didn't have the time to research if the newspapers could be trusted or that type of thing.
Yeah, it just sounds like a bit unlikely. It's just a much different thing. Yeah,
I think it's something that Russia might want to not deny, though. Sure.
Yeah,
it's possible.
But Kazakhstan and Ukraine are very different. They're right there, so of course they're
Of
ready
course,
to like send,
I
and they were
completely.
the Kazakhstan one, they were invited anyway, as they like to say.
Yeah, it
So,
was. They were legally bound
yeah.
technically by. I mean, it's international law is just so clear cut.
And did you have a UK story? I think no.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Moving on to our UK story. So
Seems like you finished there.
yeah. No, I thought you may have something to say, but yeah, UK. It's quite interesting. It's reporting kind of live right now as we're recording. The whole party gate, I suppose, facade sort of farce. Sorry, continues, and we had a Tory MP defect to the Labour MPs today. So that's
because of that.
Well, I think so. He just joined them after so Christian Wakeford defected from the Tories. Labour leader Keir Starmer delighted by this.
Oh
of course,
God.
he's because he prefers to be a leader of Tories. That's why he's delighted. Oh, and then now it's Prime David.
Yeah, I mean, these stories just came out, and you're right. Yeah, he's blaming PM's Prime Minister's disgraceful conduct.
And David Davis, who's he's a heavyweight on the backbenchers, and he was a big Eurosceptic before it was fashionable. He's called for Boris Johnson just to go and all that. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe Boris can't. There was a lot of Guardian, Channel 4, Novara media. All of them were saying like dead man walking. He's very unlikely he's going to survive, and maybe blow up, maybe this. I don't know. I feel like he's going to survive this. Man, because compared to his other controversies, but so far, defection is quite rare in British politics.
Yeah, but I mean I know Labour now is pathetic to me. I mean, it just sounds so pathetic. I thought you were like a conservative because you believed in like a certain way of running society and the economy and everything. And on the Labour side, they believe in a different system. So just because the Prime Minister had like a party and behaved this way and you don't like him, whatever, why would you switch parties? It makes absolutely no sense. And then if something like this is what sticks, I mean, Jesus.
Well, you could argue, to be fair to them, you could argue, I don't know, like, it shows how unscrupulous they are, and they don't believe anything. They're liars. I mean, and to be fair to the guy who defected, what's the difference between a Keir Starmer Labour Party and you might as well just go based on these guys are at least not lying into my face.
Over this. Over now. I mean, I can recall Keir Starmer stories that we've done. I don't.
He doesn't lie. He's just an asshole. He doesn't lie about it. He flips on his promises. I don't know if that counts as a lie. So, but I'm just saying, when like Labour is pretty much has the same policies, in some cases more right-wing policies than conservatives, you might as well.
Yeah, true. Lie. I guess in that sense, you're right. I mean, and less success, but at least he's not. Maybe he's not driven by success. This guy is good.
It's just. I find it weird. People keep saying, yeah, he broke the law. He broke the law. People who broke the law got fined and stuff. Like, yeah, but I just assumed he's breaking the law every night, like doing cocaine or some other drug. But I do think everybody who was fined, because apparently there were people who were fined during the same time for having parties. I think they should definitely be reimbursed.
I mean, I don't know. It's I don't know. I mean, no, I mean, Boris Johnson should face consequences for it as well.
Oh,
because I don't know. It's kind of like, I mean, like, it's as if like, I don't know if this analogy stands, but it's like a bunch of criminals committed murder and then the president also commits murder. Should forgive all the criminals? I don't know.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. No, he should get fined.
And he's just one part of the government. I thought this is a democracy.
What do you mean?
I mean, he's the prime minister, okay? So the prime minister did something wrong. It doesn't mean that every other aspect of the UK government did something wrong. So, I understand that it's hypocritical.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, government. Why should the government be held? Yeah, he should definitely get fined, I think. But I guess I wish fines were more proportional according to your earning.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's a more general point, but whatever. Because it's unfair that a student that went to a house party gets the same fine as Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Who, you know.
I mean, that's bullshit. Yeah, I don't know how their fines were and stuff like that. In some countries, they're very
most
steep
of them
and
were
insane.
Students.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much whatever much they were. 20 pounds for a student is a lot, man.
Yeah, no,
that's
for
like
sure.
3 beers or something.
Yeah. Yeah. By all kinds of people in those early stages in the UK, especially, they had that very strict kind of lockdown. But again, they're not politicians. They were football players and others. But they broke like the lockdown rules when here and there and stuff.
Yeah. I didn't read too much about that.
They faced a lot of the backlash, but yeah.
But yeah, that was my UK update. So things continue to, be quite fun over there. Real issues dominating the headlines.
All right, Sam, now we're done with progressive geopolitics. Let's do a few quick hitters. So let's start with this Novak Djokovic story. And I was a bit surprised at how clearly and, explicitly they said that it's pretty much a political motive, the reason that they're kicking him out of Australia. So Novak Djokovic has been deported from Australia ahead of the Australian Open after the full federal court dismissed the world's #1 bid to restore his visa. The Serbian tennis player has been seen boarding as Emirates flight from Melbourne to Dubai hours after the court rejected his challenge to the decision of Australian Immigration Minister Alex Hawke to cancel the visa. Hawke had cancelled the visa on Friday on the basis Djokovic's presence in Australia might risk civil unrest as he's a talisman of anti-vaccination sentiment. And on Sunday, Chief Justice James Alsop announced the court unanimously dismissed Djokovic's application with costs to be paid by the tennis star. So let me just read this here as well. Hawke, so I guess that's the Ministry of Immigration. Hawke said he accepted Djokovic's reason COVID-19 infection meant he was negligible risk to those around him. So he was fine with that, right? He said that he understands that he doesn't pose a risk on him, but that he was perceived by some as a talisman of a community of anti-vaccine sentiment. Quote, I consider that Mr. Djokovic's ongoing presence in Australia may lead to an increase in anti-vaccination sentiment generated in the Australian community, potentially leading to an increase in civil unrest of the kind previously experienced in Australia with rallies and protests, which may themselves be a source of community transmission. So he brought the vaccine in there too. So it's like the disease in there, yeah. I mean, I was pretty shocked at how explicitly, and even he said it, he's like, yeah, fine, okay, yeah, sure, we agree there. He already had COVID just a month ago, so he most likely will not get COVID now, and he's being tested and everything. So it's not about that. But yeah, he's gonna boost the side of sentiment, like anti-vaccine sentiment and stuff. So very explicitly came out and said that. I found that quite a bit surprising. I don't know.
To be honest, I didn't find it surprising, and I have kind of 2 points. First of all, I personally think, to be honest, they're making the wrong decision. They are making the wrong political decision
for their own,
if anything,
sake
it's
too,
going
right?
to make him more of a
talisman. 100. I agree with that one. I agree with you there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think anyway. Yeah. Usually, I mean, because you can't completely suppress him, especially in this day and age. So that's my view on their political decision. But I mean, just because Australia follows the similar system as the British political system. I mean, and I kind of like it because all decisions are political. I mean, that's why I don't like the Supreme Court at all. And I feel I'm not the biggest fan of like full mass democracy, but I do think Supreme Court is like I don't think judges should be above political leaders. I mean, I've mentioned this. I think the parliament should be the highest house. So, I'm okay with, because you sent me this article that was.
So there's this other article written. This was actually written before he was, asked to leave the country or kicked out, by associate professor at the School of Law, Murdoch University. So this pretty much, the headline is, why one man with godlike powers decides if Novak Djokovic can stay or go. So she's referring to the immigration minister, and here's like a paragraph. The personal powers of the immigration minister to grant or cancel visas are so broad and powerful, they've been described as godlike by none other than a former immigration minister himself, Chris Evans.
I mean, I don't know what she's talking outside, because before it's going to the immigration minister, I believe it went through 3 or 2 different courts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, first it went,
Australia is federal, so I think they have a state level, and then there is a supreme, and then the immigration minister, if I'm not mistaken, or something. I mean, or equivalent of what I said. So I just think at the end, though, these decisions, like, it is political, so it should be. I mean, I don't agree with it in this case, but I don't think it's a godlike power for the immigration minister.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a cool thing that person said. But I mean, the point is that their power, I mean, the power of the minister is above what the court can rule on. So then, based on what I've understood, so the court actually had to abide by whatever it was that the minister wanted. And you're saying that that's not a bad thing. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, in this case, I definitely think they took the wrong decision, and I'm sure the Minister of Immigration typically makes the wrong move a lot of the time. That's for sure. But whether, I don't know if I have an opinion in that way as you have, as whether courts should be able to, strike down against overrule what a minister decides and not. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, to be frank.
No, fair enough. I just thought I'd throw it out.
But yeah, I mean, at first I saw Glenn Greenwald does a good coverage of this, and he spent 5 to 6 hours watching the actual hearing as it happened.
Hard, man, especially the British and Australian court. I don't know about Australia, but they tend to. Actually, to be fair, my favorite TV show is Rake, which is about the Australian. One of my favorite shows is about the Australian lawyer, but they have to dress up, and they have to do a lot of specific speeches and all that. It's hard.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, kudos to Glenn, I guess, for him. Okay, so our next story is the Elizabeth Holmes one. But that one is a lot of fun. I don't know if let's do Rising. So the videos that you sent me for Rising.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, it was.
Hold on, but which videos
Fox
are you talking
News.
about?
It was more Fox News.
Yeah, but which one? So just to set up the scene. Which one is it? Like which topic? So there's one that was about weed and how that helps with marijuana. And this doctor was there to say, take it easy, don't smoke too much weed. This study doesn't say anything like that. I think Sagar was proud watching that from his Breaking Point studio.
No, to be honest, I wasn't gonna even discuss that. That was just the sad news I was sharing with you. But
and then the second one is on how the doctor who the mainstream media thought really got Joe Rogan, over the disease that you could get from the vaccine. He's not a doctor.
I think he's a journalist as well. I've seen him do interviews. I don't know, but a guest was on Joe Rogan, and they decided let's do this one first, because it's great, because they disagreed on something, and then they checked it, and then one of them found out that he's incorrect and accepted that.
Joe Rogan.
And in the mainstream media, they were like, oh my God, you got Joe Rogan. Oh my God, Joe Rogan is just, I mean, I don't know what you guys want from people.
Yeah.
And then I was wrong. I mean, that's, by the way, Bad Faith was talking about, atonement and coming back. That's enough for me just to say, oh shit, new evidence. Sorry.
But then Joe Rogan actually shared a Guardian article where he had read, which was based on a study that found the opposite. And then, of course, but I mean, these are all studies. These are all studies done on specific groups and set of people, so they're all right and they're all kind of wrong. Because I mean, Kiv Iverson points out also a limitation of the study. The one that got Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan was found to be wrong. but it's not like the other studies don't have limitations either. I mean, it's all fine. Like, for instance, the one that Joe Rogan pointed out was among very young people. It was among 12 to 15-year-olds, right? So these are all just limitations of studies. They just, the way they talk about it is sometimes annoying.
It's just public in general and mainstream media are fucking idiots. I mean, just, you know, how many years has it passed since like the first time they found a cold virus, and there are still studies being done and new things being found out? Like, it doesn't, like, no science is ever settled. It's an ongoing conversation forever, you know? So yeah, it's just, again,
and these details matter. They're not limitations. I mean, they are limitations, but these details also matter. That's why they were both kind of right. It's just that the studies were done on different samples, on different people at different times during different periods. And I mean, the COVID studies have even more limitations than normal studies because, you know, it's such an ongoing thing and you have to do it, you know, which is understandable, you know.
Long term. You can't know the long-term effects until 10 years have passed, for example. So whatever. Yeah, it's just, I'm just, the way they covered the whole, you know, and then you're like, oh, he accepted that, like, you know, like me and you, sometimes I'm like, wasn't Paul Rudd in that movie? No, he wasn't. And then like they reporting that as, oh my God, he got owned.
Man, but the way mainstream media are now labeling and referring to Joe Rogan is truly disgusting. I mean, in that CNN clip, unfair. she just introduced him as a COVID misinformation spreader.
Information is spreader.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, the irony. That was great. I think it was the same lady who was doing the Nina Turner interview.
Yes, exactly.
They put on different hats, but they all still go together, all these messages. That was annoying. And then there's the other video, which Kim Iverson did on the Great Reset. Global elites claim you will own nothing and be happy. Man. I mean, I think she took it a bit too far. And what's his name? And Ryan Grimm.
Glenn Beck, man. I want to talk about Fox News. That's what I mean. Fox News is another level of crazy. Glenn Beck, I don't know if this is Glenn Beck has changed so many
but hold
times.
On, before you do that.
He's changed so many clothes. Yeah, sorry.
Can I just say what it's about, the Great Reset? So pretty much the World Economic Forum has meetings every year, and every year they give a different name to it. So in 2020, of course, when there was the whole pandemic and everything, they just called it the Great Reset. And Kim Iverson herself says that, like when you read what they're saying, it's quite vague. What is it? And what's his name? Ryan Grimm explains it really well. He's like, you know, the best way to understand, you know, World Economic Forum and all this. Yeah, it's a marketing ploy. It's like marketing, branding, these like names that they give to these kind of
network.
No, but the names that they give to like their meeting and all this, they don't mean anything. There's no like, they just, So now then we'll come back to it. Now that I've said this,
it's like anybody, like if anybody, you still haven't, and you should watch Succession. Like what do you think rich people do when they get together? They plot. Oh, what a surprise. They plot to get more money. Like, oh, wow. Like,
and
wow,
trust me,
what a
at the
surprise.
World Economic
and most
Forum,
of their plot fails, by the way. They're idiots. Like, read the stuff that was in Great Reset. It's just they're fucking idiots. Like, they're just bunch of idiot rich people who get together and, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was a hole from San Francisco to China, like Elon Musk or some idiot thinks of that. And then...
And I mean, you know, that's not even the place where the main things are. It's not like they hide and do these things. They do it like in front of your face in Washington, and they go talk to Congresswomen and they talk to Biden and all this. And that's really where like the real powerful stuff happened in governments all around the world. China as much as the US and everything.
I mean, they have an official meeting with Bilderbergs and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not high. Nobody's doing like they're.
This
very
is just a
much
networking branding thing. What goes on there?
This is just a way for like most of the world leaders or, you know, corporate leaders to find an internship for their son in a foreign country or something. That's all it is about, really. I mean, that's what it boils down to. But the real issue here was Glenn Beck changing form once again. This time he appeared. I mean, he appears as different, like all good demons, they always appear in different forms. They never just stick to one form. And he was appearing as a lumberjack, I believe, who lives in a wild or something. He was wearing this red lumberjack type clothing. And this book is the most important book I have ever read. And then, oh shit, I've written. It's not a ghostwriter for sure. I mean, the book is nonsense. So he might have as well wrote it. But, and then Tucker going, oh my God. Oh, really? Oh, Glenn,
So
tell me more.
You've written a book.
You fountain of knowledge. And this is the guy who used to like draw like these conspiracy goddamn like sort of things on a whiteboard when Obama was in power. I can't believe it. These people.
So he wrote a book. He wrote a bullshit book on a like marketing, like branding, like text and like book. It was just like, it's just nothing. And I think
on a leaflet by the global elite.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And I think Ryan Grimm, Ryan Grimm really summed it up well. He's like, also when you take these different narratives and you kind of put it all together, and he kind of called it a conspiracy smoothie, you actually like absolve blame from like people. So he's like, yeah, Bill Gates does have too much power and too much influence, but when you tag this storyline to this storyline and the narrative and put it together and make it like this, it actually does them a bit of a service, because it turns something real into like a borderline kind of conspiracy when you add these like narratives in between to collect
you muddy the water. And I think that's why, for example, you never see Bill Gates respond to any of his real criticisms. He only responds to the crazy people who are saying the craziest stuff about me, because all my critics are crazy. Nobody can have an actual critic. But about I don't think it absolves anybody of responsibility, but I do think it's just muddies the water and stuff. But
it kind of hides them, and it makes them confusing in this whole narrative, because it's not like direct.
No, I think what he said, I don't know if he said it or I heard it somewhere else, but it's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking that there are these groups going here. I think it's somebody else. I think maybe on Chapo I heard it, that this idea that all these people are planning to control us, and it's wishful thinking that somebody's in charge. Nobody's in charge. Everybody's planning, but nobody's actually in charge, and nobody's plan is going according to the plan. So,
and everybody's plan is literally short-term money making, and it's done right in front of your eyes. Like, it's not hidden. You don't need to like go listen at like this meeting in the World Economic Forum. No, it's very easy. You look at people in Congress, who's lobbying, who's giving money. It's very straightforward. It's done right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, this is no Hamlet by Laurence Olivier. This is Hamlet by a bunch of third graders whose parents have a spoiled. So, that's what it is. So that's why I don't even want to talk about the whole, like that was boring about. But Glenn Beck was exciting.
But hold on. I have one more point though about the Rising, because you sent me 3 videos, and now I picked up on this new kind of format that they do. First of all, for some reason, Ryan Grimm and the other guy, the other host, they're in the studio recently, but Kim Iverson is somewhere else, right? So it's these two here. And I feel like the dynamic is that like Kim Iverson starts going and she takes it like a bit too far. Then these two pull her back to like a more like reasonable ground. And then the other guy, because he's a bit of a libertarian, he adds another twist to it, so it doesn't become like too much just Ryan Grimm, like, pulling her back. And then they reach like this kind of middle-ish ground. That was really the theme. Yeah, and it's funny because Kim Iverson is not there, so it kind of makes it seem like it's these two versus Kim Iverson. I mean, I kind of got that sentiment from the videos.
I feel like the Kim Iverson and Robbie Suave, they have the generally more out of the box takes, and then Ryan Grimm comes in as the okay kids, let me just let's settle down now. And then just brings it all together. but I haven't noticed the whole. Yeah, you're describing a very dialectic process. I saw it as more dualistic, but yeah, I don't know.
No, but yeah, because I mean, because with the Great Reset one, she just took it too far, and then they just brought her back. Like, yeah, global elites don't care about what's good for you, or elites in general don't. I don't know what's this word of global elites. All elites are local elites and global elites. I mean,
I don't know, man. Some elites are local.
Only local.
Some local. Yeah, they only operate locally, barely speak one language.
But
so, yeah. No, but I would say she was describing their position first, so naturally she would come. I don't know. I thought they were just stating it. So
yeah, I know. She just added a layer of spice to it that wasn't needed. If you ask me, and then at the end she was like, "Well, but I definitely still don't think it's a good idea if global elites out there are like deciding what they should be doing, and then they come and tell us little people what we should do." I'm like, yeah, but I mean nobody that's just normal politics all over the world.
Yeah, and interestingly, global elites actually agree with her. They also agree that most of the other global elites shouldn't be doing anything. It just should be me.
Yeah,
but sadly, it is what it is.
And they played this one video that was really weird. That was from 2016. I couldn't find any reference of that in the little microsite, and the video talk about how you will own nothing in the future.
So weird.
And that was extremely weird. So that I don't even know where it comes from. That
man, that's definitely, I've seen so many of those corporate. I used to work in a pretty management consultancy. So many of these, that's such a corporate, like internal video to make. Like you use such a high budget to make this video that is like 10 seconds long, and like, yeah, common interest, collective, come join the hive mind, no more worries, no more pain, no more problem. And then you show some investors and they are like, oh, and they give you money. So that's what I think. I don't know, but it was such a corporate made.
Yeah, so that video was really weird, and it was preceded really weird.
You own nothing,
Great Reset
you will rent.
theme. Yeah,
you own nothing. There will be a collar around your neck that will notify you when you need to eat. It was like, oh, okay.
No, that was messed up. But okay, let's move on to our last fun story for quick hitters, and then we'll do pick of the week, question of the week, and progressive tweets, which is, so Sam, Elizabeth Holmes, right? As I like to call it, the gift that keeps on giving. So first,
yes, at least.
First, as early as March, Hulu is going to be releasing their series, right, called The Dropout. And in that one, they've gone with Amanda Seyfried as the main character. However, Saturday.
Who's the creator? Do you know?
It's Hulu.
No, create the person writing or producing.
I think it's based on ABC podcast. I think it's based on the ABC podcast as well. So the Dropout. So the storyline, but yeah, I don't know produce and stuff. But Saturday Night Live star Kate McKinnon was originally supposed to take the leading role, but she dropped out of the production in February. So Amanda Seyfried took over. So that's one. Then there's another one, which is
that one.
Where is the article on this one? Oh no,
I have it in front of me.
Could I have paused it? How did I close it? But yeah, so now there's the other.
Should I read?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jennifer Lawrence is working on her impression of Elizabeth Holmes' unique voice for her upcoming role as the Theranos founder, director Adam McKay says. So she's doing it with Adam McKay, I think on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, that one's going to be a movie, right?
No, that's because it was on Netflix, I assume TV show, but let me read. Team up for adaptation of the book Bad Blood. I have no idea. I hope it's a TV show, to be honest, because the more McKay, the better.
But
so that's my philosophy.
Okay, now let me go back. Let me go to my question. I think Jennifer Lawrence is much better suited for this role, because whenever I see Elizabeth Holmes' face, she just pisses me off so much, right? I just like, she annoys me so much.
Jesus, okay.
But I've never seen Amanda Seyfried in any roles where she pissed me off. Whereas Jennifer Lawrence, she pisses me off in a lot of roles. So I just find that she's a much better suit for that. I don't know. Amanda Seyfried, I found isn't a good match for that role. But anyway,
Well,
I don't know much about movies.
I must say the Amanda Seyfried one definitely looks worse. I mean, it does have some great cast. Stephen Fry, William H. Macy, but then again, Naveen Andrews. It looks far worse, basically. But anyway, but the Adam McKay, yeah. I must admit, there are some actors and actresses that I realize it's my problem. I don't like for many years, for some reason, after watching Titanic when I was very young, for many years, I really hated Leonardo DiCaprio. I think it's jealousy. But I'm not sure. But I was just like, so, and I have this similar issue with, sadly, Jennifer Lawrence. I really don't enjoy her presence in anything.
Well, this is good then. She's perfect for this role, because like Elizabeth Holmes, she really, maybe, at least for me, she's like a big turn off her personality and like character. Now that we know everything about her based on,
Yeah. I blame what were the film series she was in with the books?
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence. Hunger Games.
Yeah. I blame those, because those were so, I don't know. I need time to. It took me a few years, but now I love Leonardo DiCaprio. So.
Oh yeah, that's good. But
maybe one day.
Did Jennifer Lawrence piss you off in Don't Look Up? Even in that, her character was a bit annoying, and it pissed me off.
I think her character was the closest to a normal person, her and thing. But yeah, it wasn't. I've never been a fan of her. Yeah, I don't know. So no. Oh God, you know what pissed me off? Her, I hate that movie. The one with Bradley Cooper. One of the movies I despise. The one they all have mental issues. Robert De Niro. Jesus. She won an Oscar for that, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think or Bradley Cooper or somebody did. I think it was David O. Russell, if I'm not mistaken, directed it. I remember
Joy?
everybody. I remember the lawyer.
Was it called Joy?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it was called Joy.
Robert De Niro. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
No, not Joy. No, that's I haven't seen Joy. That seems interesting. Silver Lining Playbook. Can't recall. The one Bradley Cooper danced with her or something. I really despise that type of. It's just the worst kind of movie to me. It's like, I really don't care about your personal issue anyway. But anyways,
yeah, so I'm not very excited for this Hulu show, because I really find Amanda Seyfried is not a good fit. So I wonder what others think. But maybe with her acting, she'll pull it off and she'll bring that resentment out of me. That means that she's doing a hell of a job. Because Elizabeth Holmes is such an annoying person. I can't stand her. Like in the ABC Dropout podcast, they play audio recordings of the bullshit that she would say during like meetings and stuff. And she was just a sponge of like that corporate kind of lingo. It's as if she like absorbed it all in one go, like early on in life. And then she could just parrot it. And it's just, yeah.
It's like an unholy child of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates.
Exactly. And if anybody's curious what's happening with Elizabeth Holmes, these two sentences should clear it up. So Elizabeth Holmes is slated to be sentenced on 26th of September. So in like 9 months after being found guilty of defrauding Theranos investors. So California jury found Holmes, 37, guilty on 4 on 11 charges, including 3 counts of fraud and 1 count of conspiring to defraud private investors in the blood testing startup. She remains free on a $500,000 bond while awaiting sentencing. So yeah, she still faces 20 years, but they're gonna see what's gonna happen with her partner, I guess. And
I have a feeling soon we're gonna hear from her from Venezuela or North Korea or somewhere with no extradition.
No, nice and easy from the US, man. At most, I mean, now she's been sentenced, but it's up to the judge to, now she's been found guilty, but it's up to the judge to sentence her. So, if she just cooperates on her former partner's case and everything, I think she can get off maybe a year or two in prison, or just at home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably house arrest or something.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, that was that with Elizabeth Holmes. Shall we move on to our pick of the week and question of the week?
Sure, let's do pick of the week.
I mean, mine is, do you want to start with the good or the bad?
Let's do bad.
Okay, my bad one, I mean, I've spoken about her a lot during this episode. I was going to mention it even before, but then I thought I would save it here. And that's Kamala Harris. So anytime I just see like her in the interviews and stuff are so bad. And Katie Halper she played that clip where the interviewer asked her like, apparently like 6 former presidents or like officials wrote a letter telling Biden that his agenda is not going well, and he puts it to her and she completely loses it in the answer that she's giving, and just she's so on the defensive. And Brianna made a fair point. She was like, they have given her like the worst things to deal with, but I mean, she should be a bit more skilled at this.
I think Brianna is right. What do you want her to say? It's not like she's more like, it's not like she's really in charge of it. It's like she's just a spokesperson, really. Yeah. but at the same time, she's so terrible. And Katie Halper did a great impression that, why do you keep just I don't know, like, we should come together. It was ridiculous. I mean, I do feel for her though, because she's basically acting as a glorified spokesperson for all the bad policies. And a punching bag, because Biden is basically like half beyond the valley. So they have to bring in Kamala out more often, because they might have to bring in Biden on, and he might start asking questions about is the gramophone on? So she's basically a glorified spokesperson to be punched back.
Yeah. So that is kind of her situation. And I mean, I think she's definitely not doing herself any favors by being vice president in terms of like name recognition and all this, but
no, well, I mean, she should put up a more, like, I don't understand how she's losing to Pete Buttigieg's team, like in internal fights. Like, I get some more, like, I would shift the blame or something. She's really,
So that was my bad of the week or worst of the weeks. She's definitely not doing herself any favors. And what about good on your side?
So my pick of the week, I was thinking that first the Gray Zone one with Pepe Escobar was great, but we already talked about that. So I thought, talking of Katie Halper, her episode with Trevor and Brianna, and who else was there? Somebody else was there. Leslie?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good guy. Anyway, it was one of the best episodes ever. I really highly recommend it. It was so funny and informative, and like real discussions about the left. And Trevor made a couple of really good points about the liberals I talked about earlier. And he had the coolest flask, man. Did you see that?
No.
It was same size as me, basically, the flask. And it was this thick, this big. And then Trevor would just, like, Katie would start talking, and Trevor would just pick it up and would drink and drink and drink and drink. And Katie's just talking like 5 minutes, 10 minutes past, he's still drinking. And I don't know what his bladder must be made out of steel or something. But it was great. It was definitely, I enjoyed watching that the most, I think, this week.
Yeah, no, that was really good stuff. And they talked about fun people. So Kyrsten Sinema, pointing out how she changed, and how she used to look about 20 years ago and the transformation she underwent. And of course, Kamala Harris, she's always fun too.
Oh, sorry, no, Katie Halper made fun of Kyrsten Sinema's talking, not Kamala Harris's. Sorry, I mixed up things there.
Yeah, I think so.
Too much content.
But okay, good stuff. Let's keep on going. Let's do a question of the week quickly. So this week's question is, what's our most progressive position? point of view. I can go first if you want. I don't know if you have
Yes,
one.
please.
I think maybe one of the most progressive views that I could have is that everybody is a victim to a certain degree. So
Oh, come
let
on,
me give
that's
an example.
wishy-washy.
So let me give an example. Like even the people who, like, let's say, join the US Army or join a gang or join whatever, and they go and commit horrible things against other people, they are still a victim to a certain extent to whatever ideology, environment, brain issue, whatever brought them on in life to think that that is the right thing to do or that is a good idea and to do that, which, yeah.
So you basically are discounting human agency, right?
No, I mean, there is human agency to it, but I mean, whatever brought them to take that decision themselves, there is some, why would you reach such a conclusion in your life? So based on that, I would say that I think everybody to a certain extent is a victim of
course,
maybe their own
to
agency.
A certain extent. Well, no, but then if you have agency, then you're not a victim, then are you? You're active. You're not.
Well, I mean,
you're not passive.
Yeah, but what made you take that kind of, decision?
So you're not. You're giving the classical argument against human agency. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that is what
maybe I didn't think about it in that way. And yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever brought you to make that choice in life and everything, whatever, all the things that led to you reaching that that kind of point.
I mean, yeah, I think it depends on your expectations of humans overall, but I think I've said this before. I kind of agree with you, but in reverse. I think everybody's a criminal. Whenever given the chance, everybody it seems to working class, rich, educated, uneducated. All of us, humanity is largely a disappointment to me. But that's maybe because our expectations were set so high by literature and arts and all that and idealism. So, I think I think I am very sympathetic. I generally, I think, most people don't really make choices. We are forced by our environment and stuff to make choice. At least I don't want to give one answer for all, but for most people, I think it's very rare that someone can overcome their circumstance to make original choices, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, I kind of got this idea really from like the US military thing, like thinking years ago, thinking that, the person who joins the US military and, think that they're going to go doing stuff. So, I mean, yeah, they have agency, although I've never really thought of the agency stuff too much. You kind of put it out there to make that decision. But then also, yeah, why would they have made that decision? What made them think that it's a good idea?
The culture, television, not having, security of a healthcare, let's say, or education in some cases. But I thought we were talking very specifically policy. So my most progressive thing was like, university should definitely be free, because that's like, universities is still mostly not free in a lot of, there are free universities, but it's usually like a lot of countries is loans or grants or that type of thing. But universities should be free, hospitals should be free, which is pretty the standard. Free home, free housing. And free is that progressive? I don't know. I think everybody should have access to a certain amount of land and should be held responsible for cultivating that land. So like very small amount, so nobody ever dies of hunger, or like I remember reading Napoleon. I don't know if this is true. I remember reading when I was a young kid that Napoleon made it compulsory during a period for people to keep rabbits, because rabbits reproduce a lot, and then nobody would, because that way there would be no chance of a hunger, famine and all that. So I think something like that would be definitely, or making every home like energy efficient by itself and all that type of thing. That type of thing is the most like important.
So, I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to live in Europe, though, if going back to our potatoes and cheese theme. So that means you just want me to
and rabbits.
eat potatoes, rabbits, and cheese.
No, like, okay.
Can I get my land in Costa
export
Rica,
it.
though?
Costa Rica is actually not, tropical areas are not very good. You want to be on
No, they
I
are.
think
Are
it's
they
called the
not?
wheat, on the grain. No, it's best place, Italy, Iran, California.
No, they're really good too, but I think Costa Rica and stuff,
Yeah.
they're known for having
Oh,
all
really?
kinds
I
of
don't
fruits
know.
and vegetables and all that. But yeah, I mean,
Oh.
Italy is a good place in Europe, or if not Greece, probably, but Iran is
I'm
good.
not a fan of tropical fruits.
Brazil.
I hate mango.
Oh, really? You hate mango?
And yeah, I'm not a big fan of banana either, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I can handle it, but I'm not a big fan.
So you should move to Canada. They have apples in different colors and maple
love
syrup
it.
if you want.
I love that. That's great. The variety of apples to me is like, oh, this too spicy. This red apple is too spicy.
I think they also grow carrots in Canada.
Yeah, that's good. No, I mean,
California is
no,
the
come
whole.
on.
California is also
Yeah,
great.
California
Mexico,
is
of
awesome.
course.
That's true.
Mexico supplies
yeah.
all of North
Yeah,
America.
I take back my. Yeah. No, but I would say I don't like a spicy food or variety in my foods or stuff. But I'm big on fruits, man. I eat, like all kinds of citruses. I have access to. I have dealers. You know, they bring me blood orange from Italy sometimes. I have dealers.
Oh, that's
sweet
really
lemons and all that. Yeah, citrus fruits are the best, man. They're they're my love of my life.
But okay, going back to your most progressive thing, everybody should have a piece of land. I think you started off like at the center and moved your way left.
I don't know. It's a weird one. It's not necessarily even a left, because left maybe doesn't believe in property. I just think you should have access to a certain amount of nature. You should be guaranteed access to a certain amount of nature.
Yeah, I think that's a hard one to implement, but
you have to reduce certain things.
No.
I'm not getting into it.
I'll give you your land on like the tip of the mountain in Norway or something. You can go live there by yourself and be happy.
Tip of the mountain where nothing cultivates.
Yeah. Send you a shipment of apples every now and then. You can go fishing. Eat fish.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, salmon I like. Anyway. But to wrap up, I thought maybe we can wrap up because, I mean, we didn't go too much into it. We did, but our theme for this episode was basically impotence, right? Like nobody, what's going on? Is this working? I don't know, where am I? So that's where we are now, it seems, and all that. And I was just watching a lot of weird content online and these left people on the left and people on the center debating each other. And it's kind of with Wash and stuff, I kind of feel the same. Man, there are all these people, they wear like wife beaters, or, you know, like Hassan Piker is a bit like that. They work out and they wear these tight t-shirts and they're like, bro, communism, bro. And they debate all these, come at me, bro. You know, when Lenin said that, you know, we need to collectivize the farms in the southern Moscow, he was, bro, what you're saying is that immigrant. And I don't know is this. I feel like there is a massive amount of overcompensation is going on for the fact that the left doesn't have power. So people are going to the gyms, going, and then, like, do you need to be half naked while arguing about the political economy of the early Soviet period? Like, is that necessary? Do I need to see all your chest hairs while you're discussing? Well,
you gotta send me that video, so I put the clip over.
No, come on. I don't want to get too personal, but yeah, I'll send you.
But I mean, this is a good thing, no? The left is expanding, getting some gym bros in the left as well.
Maybe, yeah, you're right. You're seeing the positive. As always, you see the positive side, I see the dark side. You see them as victims, I see them as criminals. It's just so weird, the need to be so into, oh man, you know. I mean, come.
But I really have to see these. I haven't seen these. I'm really curious.
Oh, No,
I mean, I've seen
yeah,
Hassan Piker, so I can imagine Hassan Piker, but
Hassan Piker is more mild, but he
yeah.
has that thing. Like in interviews, they're all like, and there is a rosary. I think they have a rosary. I don't know what it is, and then a tattoo, and I don't know, but it does. It again. I'm not judging anyone. Look at me. I mean, there is plenty of things to judge here, but it's still like it's just so weird. It's like going to a lecture hall and then one of the one of these people shows up like, "What's up, guys? Mark said, what's going on?"
Yeah, I think if we had
Yeah.
our own, if we were the socialists running the world, I would like put some kind of dress code more or less in place.
I mean, look, yeah, I wouldn't go as far as making tie compulsory or anything, but just casual, let's say, not naked.
But I'm really curious to see this. You really have to send the video so everybody also sees
Oh,
who you're talking
okay.
about.
All right. I mean, we are still only got about 5 or 6 subscribers, so I'm safe.
Oh, good. Okay, should we wrap up with some very quick tweets?
Sure, as always.
We really don't have many this time, or many that are too interesting, so we'll kind of go through them quickly. All right, folks. So I'll start off with a Matt Taibbi one, and we've discussed Joe Rogan here a lot. So he says there are no shortcuts in media. You can't force trust. If audiences listen to people like Joe Rogan much more than mainstream sources, and yeah, I mean, in a way, Joe Rogan has become mainstream just among younger people because he hits such a big audience. Critiques should first ask why that might be and realize trying to censor or control his show would only compound their own trust problem. Couldn't disagree too much there with Matt.
No, 100% true. And as he's saying, there are no shortcuts. So we are definitely, doing great.
Yeah. We're really taking our sweet time.
Using this. Yeah. Kam, you can be the tortoise or the rabbit, all right? Or a tortoise with some sort of a movement problem, which we are. So, but no, I know he's definitely right. Trust is, audience and trust is established. Although, I don't like, who cares who people trust anyway? Just, I don't like.
Yeah, that's another point. But just while I read the next tweet, just move your microphone a bit. I think it just got misplaced a bit. Yeah. So and the next one that goes with it, perfect. Now that sounds good. For all those who think it's possible to prohibit medical misinformation, who is going to be in charge of the prohibition? The most dangerous misinformation is official misinformation. And the only defense against official misinformation is a completely free press. Yeah, free press. And
couldn't say it. I don't think anybody could say it in such a short paragraph better. That's it. Yeah. Just like everything, like a speech or a speaking should be free, because otherwise, as soon as you make one body official, everybody then can abuse it.
And you don't even need to make, and even if you want to prohibit free speech, you don't need to make a body that checks it, because like I was talking about before, in the US, they've really hacked the system. So that they give everybody free speech, but really only some voices reach the mainstream level and reach a lot of people. So you don't even need to,
I don't agree. I think everywhere it's the same.
Yeah, everywhere.
People are so tough on America for her. It's always been like that, and it will always be like that, because it's, politics at a grand scale will always be dominated by a few.
Yeah. And no, because in the US, there's free speech in that sense. That's why. But yeah, the Green Party is allowed to say whatever they want. They just make sure that nobody hears whatever it is that they're saying.
I don't think anybody makes sure. It's just that you always have that in countries where they have public funding of, and there is far more tougher laws on, like money and media and all that. It's still the same. Mm-hmm. So I think it's always going to be 2-3 forces dominating. And because at the net, most people cannot, pay attention to details, about politics. So,
especially when you don't tell them in an easy way, especially when you make it complicated by hiding it.
Like some authors.
Gaslighting. Some others were exactly the way they write, you know, it's confusing, but also about, you know, putting out straight up lies and making things, you know,
Sure.
confusing.
But that's what they would do. I mean, that's always going to happen. So,
yeah. Then next we have Glenn. And, you know, this Gallup poll, of course, all these polls have a lot of, you know, limitations and all this, but using the same one, just showing how his pretty much popularity has gone down. So in politics, as of today, do you consider yourself as of today, do you lean more to the Republican and all this? So just showing that during since the Biden administration time, so people who were Democrat or leaning Democrat has gone down around 7 points, whereas those who were Republican and leaning Republican gone up 7 points.
I hadn't seen that poll and all that, but yeah, seems awful. Although I would say again, I don't care about polling. First of all, mostly, and secondly, I think it's still too early to you know,
things could change.
But it does show how well he's been how well received his first year has been. First year or 2 years? It's been now.
1 year now, I think. No, I mean he took office in January. You always start in January.
Thank God. I thought I missed another year
there. Man, this next one. Ask a capitalist why they hate socialism and they'll describe capitalism. So Molly had tweeted, feeling pretty Soviet at my local grocery store, and the grocery store is empty. This is one of the things that would piss me off so much, like in university bachelor classes, like, you know, people who are anti-communist and stuff, they would talk about, you know, in Cuba you go and there are these stores that are, you know, like empty and there are no products and nobody can buy. And I'd be like, yeah, and there's a shitload of capitalist countries where you can also go, either nobody can buy what it is to buy, or there are also limitations of all sorts. It's just one of those, like, you know, caricatures of the communism.
To be fair to Molly, she did at least, I know I hate what you're saying too, but at least she did put Soviet. She didn't put a communist, you know. Soviet, you could say, oh, Soviet was not a real communist country. It was like a Stalinist or whatever. So, you know, but it's just such a straw manning. And again, it's
but I mean, it's a big pet peeve of mine, really. I mean, when
this lady, is she related to Hemingway?
I doubt it.
Oh yeah, I thought did Hemingway have children? I don't think so. He killed himself before, but MZ Hemingway, so that's why I thought maybe.
And I think, like I've told you before, a big pet peeve of mine is when you compare Cuba, because I've heard this argument of Cuba a lot. And you take this
to America
or to I never heard them compare Cuba to another country their size, you know, like they're in their same, like, you know, ballpark.
Let's compare like Japan to Asia. It's just like, what? It's like a small island where half of it is like occupied by American forces.
Seriously. This next one, typical MLK stuff. This one's beautiful. By Anthony V. Clark. I don't know who he is, but he's like, no matter what quotes are used today, never forget that 75% of Americans disapproved of MLK as he spoke out against the Vietnam War and economic disparity right before his assassination, which is so true. But now, you know, mainstream media loves to talk about having a dream.
He's been adopted.
That's it. Yeah.
Republicans, even Republicans are like, no, he was with us.
God knows. Yeah. That's how you see history gets distorted. Imagine in 50 years where like anybody who had actually known him, not like lived through that time, is already dead. So everybody knows it through, you know, secondhand and all this. I mean, what they'll say about him will just be.
Yeah, it's people simplify and idolize, by the way. I think like there is a huge amount of idolization of MLK as well. So yeah, people as like one group either villainizes or you know, idolizes, or you know, it's just, again, most people can't handle details. So
details of stuff that they're not in. I mean, it's not their priority, and it's understandable.
Exactly. Because each individual has a different priority. So somebody is like, detailed knowledge about arts and
or
some
their work
politics,
or whatever it is. I don't know, the kids'
Yeah,
schedule, the cars.
exactly.
But I mean,
they have 5 children, and about
Yeah.
their education and about their food and about their life and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then on top of that, and confusing politics that is made on purpose, confusing and stuff, because it doesn't need to be that confusing. It can be much more simple. But of course, when you're trying yours try to win.
It's like finance. You create. It's kind of like create gatekeeping situation. You know, you create this language.
Yeah.
That's why for many years, legal language in Europe was Latin, and the legal language in Islamic world, or in actually from India to Ottomans, the legal language was Arabic, while the spoken language was mostly Persian or Turkish, because it becomes inaccessible to a massive amounts of people. It becomes hereditary, to an extent. It becomes
very interesting.
I mean, that's one theory of it, generalizing history and all that. But it's like what in The Big Short by Adam McKay, they talk about it, that, finance, they create a specific confusing words, so most people don't really understand what's happening, like prime mortgage, reverse blah, whatever.
No, that's true. That's a very, very nice point. Okay, the next tweet is a simple one, and I think one that Jackson is a bit wrong here. He's like, how is it that the lesser of two evils candidate has become, okay, fine. Oh, he said one, so never mind, I take that back. Has become one of the worst presidents in American history. I mean, I still don't think Biden, I mean, I don't know. Is he one of the worst? I mean, he's not doing much, but previous ones.
He ended Afghanistan.
He ended Afghanistan, and he didn't start any wars. He hasn't passed anything like NAFTA or done things that Bill Clinton did and Reagan and stuff. Yeah.
No, but I
was 20 years younger.
Like, materially speaking, Felix Bilderman, I forget his family name properly, on Chapo Trapa has made this point when Afghanistan happened. Materially speaking, at least in our lifetime, since he's the best, actually. He's done the most positive things, actually.
Which are on the margins, which
is
it's
nowhere
near enough.
Okay, yeah, but compare him to George Bush the father, Bill Clinton, Obama,
George Bush
Trump
Jr. Let's not forget about him.
Oh, George Bush Jr. I should have
probably
said
messed things up as much. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. So, and Reagan himself.
I mean, Trump probably comes right after him, because him too with his incompetence, he didn't do much. He just fired a lot of people in the White House. Yeah. Oh, he exited the Paris Accord. Now that the U.S. is back in the Paris Climate Accord, someone show me the actual differences on the ground.
I think we just made a case for the fact that we are on a positive trend. With Trump, no new war started. With Biden, a war ended. So maybe we are actually on a positive trend. Maybe everything is going to get better. Maybe next president will actually pull out of Germany and Japan and stuff.
We'll see on this front, although I doubt it. And then finally, Sam, Tim Pool, man, I've been following him on Twitter just for fun. I mean, he looks like it's a parody of himself, but no, this is really an account. He tweeted, someone I know who is triple vax just got COVID. What the fuck is the point of vaccine? I mean, even the most skeptical person of the vaccine knows that that's too easy of an argument that will get dismantled, and people don't make that argument anymore. I mean, criticize the vaccine as much as you want. The strategy needs to be some of the promises that were made initially are not holding up and all this. But I mean, come on. It's as if, honestly, you would think it's a parody, but no, it's him. It's his real account.
I mean, are you sure about it? Yeah. It's been his real account, because I'm gonna go. I mean, come on, man! I told you he looks like South. He looks
even
like
his
South
picture.
You're
right.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the hat he wears.
Why does he?
You look like a penis. You look like a penis. Like, why do you do this? And he does it purposefully. And openly, like he's not. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I am somewhat. This is really stupid.
Yeah.
Like somewhat. You like. Does he think that when you get vaccinated for the flu, it means you're like completely flu-proof forever?
And sure, at first, yes, there were some, I guess, maybe they were ill-founded promises that, it will prevent transmission. But now people have moved on from that. And that is true. If you talked about transmission and stuff, then sure. But people, that's become more and more common understanding that it doesn't.
I love the profile picture.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, is he making fun? Is he a parody, you think? Is this whole thing?
Maybe it's a parody, man. Now, that's why I asked you, are you sure? Because it says at Team Cast as well, not at Team Pool. So I don't know. I hope you haven't let us
No, but look,
down
he's
there.
verified. I mean, no, it's not possible.
Oh, it's got the blue thing.
But look, in his next tweet, he kind of...
It's unbelievable.
He kind of redeemed himself. I've never once said Trump won the 2020 election. I have repeatedly said, even to Steve Bannon himself, that Trump lost and there was no widespread fraud. There are overt false statements of facts seeking to cause monetary damage to my business. I love how he went for business there. There he reverted back to his dumbass. He should have said monetary damage to my image, but he don't admit that you're just one big business. You're a political commentator, but appreciate the honesty. No.
I mean, look, nobody's suing you, so chill out about the fun. Like, he's overt seeking to cause damage to my business. It's not like they're suing you and coming after
my family and kids.
They're writing letters to your boss. Although what they're doing is assholeish anyway. Like, I hate people who run to the teacher, don't. Why are you advertising? Oh, fuck off. But I must say, this part, that's so funny. I repeatedly said it, even to Steve Bannon. I faced up the Dark Lord. They Steve, like some fat, 70 years old who can barely go up the stairs.
Who was kicked out of the administration? He's out of the picture too.
Yeah, he made 2 days.
Yeah, he made it seem like, he said it to Trump himself,
Even Trump. Bunch of overweight losers who couldn't move. You can say anything you want to them and they can't even get up to. Anyways.
Yeah, that was funny. This bunch of tweet was actually more fun than I thought. And finally, actually gonna end with Aaron Maté. So Aaron Maté's dad and Aaron Maté's brother have releasing a book together called The Myth of Normal. Is Dr. Maté's magnum opus. Excited for the world to receive it. And thrilled to announce that my next book, co-written with my son, will be released this September in the US, UK, and Canada. The Myth of Normal Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a Toxic Culture. So his dad, I believe I'm speaking of the right person, way even before I kind of knew 100% who Aaron Maté was. His dad came on Democracy Now! And so I believe his dad has a bit of unorthodox approaches to healing and diseases, or an understanding one. And I think maybe he was involved. I think he's involved in the heroin centers in
substance dependency, ADHD, and psychology.
Yeah, and I believe he's a bit of a unorthodox one, if I'm not mistaken, but very widely known and respected and everything, of course.
I think he's a psychiatrist because it says he's a physician, but he also works in developmental psychology.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but I feel like he's involved in Vancouver, Canada. They have those heroin centers for heroin addicts where they come and they can inject themselves there safely and everything. I believe he was even involved in that. But he was talking very interesting stuff. I remember he was talking about this is when he came on Democracy Now! And he was giving a personal example about this problem he had with his leg, and so he couldn't walk properly. But then he went to visit his mom in the hospital, and as soon as he opened the door to walk into the hospital room, his limp went away completely, and being saying subconsciously, my body knew that if I limping this way in front of my mom who is very sick and all this, it would be it would be bad for her, she couldn't stand seeing this. But I mean, at that time I didn't even realize, and I just subconsciously started walking properly now, and my limp had gone away for a bit. So
I must say, this does not sound to me, as I've mentioned before, spirituality and subconscious are not my favorite things.
But I
so.
might have completely messed it up. I just want to say he's in that field,
I'm
but
just
he has
saying,
like an open mind to like, unorthodox approaches, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, maybe I should have stopped talking about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have no takes. I mean, I need to take a look at his work.
No, this was just
seems interesting.
Say congrats and promote that. That's about it. But okay, Sam, I think we've reached the end of this podcast. People, please leave your comments, questions, and criticisms down below.
And finally, after a year or so, it is actually a podcast. And now we have the Substack for people who want. I really wanted to do that because I personally prefer listening to a lot of things that are on YouTube sometimes. And because I feel like it's unfair to force a lot of people to, suffer through this.
But okay, good. I think, next episode, we could probably promote it even in the beginning of the show. And I like the audio angle, especially. I mean, for now, that'll be the main advantage of going there is that we'll have the audio videos, right? Audio clips of the whole podcast.
If anyone doesn't if you don't want to watch these and suffer through these faces, and if you want to put it in your pocket like me sometimes, and you know what I mean? I felt like I'm doing a disservice to our community because I hate it because sometimes with YouTube you put it in your pocket and it gets moved or something.
I don't have that issue anymore now, but
oh, I forgot you are fully bourgeois now.
I got 50% off. Okay, I got a working class discount before I signed up.
Okay, whatever you say.
Okay. All right, good stuff. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.